All clean, wholesome BL, no explicit content, no graphic violence. Think of this as a light novel, anime arc you can listen to or read slowly. What If? The Dragon King and the Symbol of Hope, a BL My Hero Academia AU. Chapter 1, The Weight of a Crown. Long. The world already knew your name. Benedict of India. The Dragon King. The monarch who ruled not through politics, but presence. In this world, India had never become a democracy. Instead, it evolved into a modern constitutional monarchy, where the ruler was chosen by lineage and quirk compatibility. When your quirk manifested, history itself seemed to pause. Gravity bowed to you. Mountains trembled when you were angry. Rivers slowed when you were calm. And when your second quirk awakened, the Eastern Dragon transformation, the elders of India knelt without being told. You didn't ask to be king, but you accepted the crown because someone had to protect the people. That sense of responsibility followed you to UA High, where you arrived as an international Royal Exchange student, not in luxury, but in uniform. Whispers followed you down the halls. Open quote, "That's the King of India. He could level cities if he wanted. Why would someone like that come here?" Close quote. You ignored them, until someone tripped. Ah! A green-haired boy stumbled forward, notebooks flying. Instinctively, gravity bent around him. He stopped mid-fall, suspended gently like the world itself refused to hurt him. You reached out and steadied him. "You all right?" He stared at you like you'd just rewritten reality. Yes, thank you, I'm Izuku Midoriya." His smile was awkward, nervous, genuine. And for the first time in years, the weight on your chest eased. You didn't see a subject. You saw a boy who wanted to save everyone. Chapter 2. When gravity learns to be gentle, especially long. Izuku Midoriya fascinated you, not because of One for All. You sensed its power immediately, but because of how he carried it. Like a fragile treasure. Like something he feared breaking. You trained together often. Izuku talked constantly, analyzing your gravity control and your dragon form, your combat efficiency. He rambled until he realized you were smiling. "Sorry, I'm talking too much again." "Don't stop," you said. "You speak like someone who believes the future can be better." That made him blush. Slowly, things changed. You noticed gravity reacted to him subconsciously. When he laughed, the air felt lighter. When he was injured, pressure gathered around you like the world itself wanted to protect him. Late one night, sitting on the UA rooftop, Izuku finally asked, "Doesn't it feel lonely, being a king?" You looked at the sky. "Yes," he nodded. "Being a symbol is lonely, too." Silence followed. Not awkward. Understanding. That night, something shifted. Not dramatically. Just gently. Love quietly chosen. Dating wasn't dramatic. It was shared meals, notes exchanged, fingers brushing during training. One evening, Izuku confessed, voice shaking, heart bare, "I don't know if I'm enough for someone like you, but I love you." You cupped his face, gravity lowering so the world felt still. "You don't need to be enough," you said softly. "You already are." Chapter 4. The announcement that shook the world. The announcement wasn't flashy. You stood before the world and said simply, open quote, "I will marry Izuku Midoriya." Close quote. Silence. Then chaos. Chapter 5. The world reacts. India, millions gathered in the streets. Dragon banners waved. Open quote, "Our king chose love. We choose him." Close quote. Japan government approval. UA pride. Open quote, "A hero worthy of a crown." Close quote. USA 24-hour news cycles. Open quote, "The strongest royal quirk user marries All Might's successor." Close quote. Europe political unity. Open quote, "A historic alliance of power and morality." Close quote. Villains. Fear. Panic. Hate. They called themselves the Matter Dominion, and they declared war. Chapter 6. 2 weeks of fire and sky cities reshaped mid-battle. Matter bent against gravity. Gravity crushed matter in return. You fought as the Dragon King, wings blotting out the sun. Izuku fought as the symbol of hope, refusing to fall. Together, you were unstoppable. Chapter 7. Final battle, face to face. 5 minutes seeing the leader of the Matter Dominion stood before you, calm, smiling. "I can unmake the world," he said. "Even kings fall." You stepped forward alone. "No," you replied. "Not today." He twisted reality. Ground dissolving, air crystallizing. You transformed. Dragon scales ignited with golden light. Gravity collapsed inward. The world screamed. He lunged. Izuku shouted your name. You didn't look back. Gravity pinned the villain in place, matter tearing itself apart under its own arrogance. I rule, you said, so others don't have to fear power. Izuku struck one final smash. Silence. Chapter 8. A World at Peace. The war ended. The wedding followed. Floating lanterns, dragon light, heroes and civilians together. Izuku took your hand. Ready? He asked. Always, you replied. King and hero, dragon and hope, together. If you want next, and I can keep going. After marriage, the world tour of the Dragon King and the symbol of hope. Chapter 9. When love becomes global. The world tour wasn't announced as a political event. It was announced as a thank you. Open quote. To the world that stood with us, we wish to meet you, not as king and hero, but as people. Close quote. That alone shook nations. A reigning monarch and the successor of All Might, choosing humility over spectacle. Still, no place they went stayed quiet for long. India. The return of the Dragon King. Your first stop was home. India welcomed you and Izuku with golden skies and floating banners, gravity lifting petals into the air as your dragon aura stirred unconsciously. Millions lined the streets, not kneeling, not bowing, but cheering. Open quote. Long live the Dragon King. Welcome home, hero consort. Close quote. Izuku froze at the title. Me? You squeezed his hand. Your family now. At the palace, elders greeted Izuku not with judgment, but warmth. Children stared at him with wide eyes. You're the hero who protects our king, one said. Izuku knelt. No, I protect everyone. That night, as lanterns floated over the city, people didn't celebrate power. They celebrated love that chose responsibility. Japan, UA and home Japan felt quieter, but deeper. UA held a small ceremony, not official, not broadcast. Just Class 1A, teachers and friends. All Might bowed deeply to you both. You didn't just inherit strength, he told Izuku. You created a future. Bakugo crossed his arms. Shh, don't get soft, nerd. King or not, I'll still beat you. Izuku smiled. I'll be waiting. Uraraka hugged Izuku tightly. You look really happy. I am, he said honestly. Japan's media called it, open quote, the quiet union that stabilized the world, close quote. USA, power meets ideals. America was loud. Fighter jets escorted your arrival, not threatening, but ceremonial. Crowds waved flags mixed with dragon imagery and hero symbols. Press conferences were intense. Open quote, King Benedict, does love weaken authority? Close quote. You answered calmly, open quote, no, it reminds authority who it serves. Close quote. Izuku stood beside you, steady. Veteran heroes approached him with respect, not pity, not awe. You stood in a global war, one said. You earned this. That night, children asked Izuku to sign notebooks, not as the king's partner, but as Izuku Midoriya. Europe, history recognizes you. In Europe, castles and ancient halls welcomed you. Scholars called your marriage, open quote, a modern myth, dragon and hero, close quote. Leaders discussed alliances, but the public focused on something else. How you walked slightly behind Izuku sometimes. How Izuku reached for your hand when crowds felt overwhelming. A queen from a small nation said quietly, open quote, you rule like legends used to, with heart, close quote. Africa, strength recognizes strength. Several African nations welcomed you with warrior ceremonies. No speeches, just respect. A hero leader clasped your forearm, open quote, you fought for the world. That makes you ours too. Close quote. Izuku watched. You're accepted everywhere, he whispered. You shook your head. We are. Middle East, balance and honor. In the Middle East, leaders and civilians alike spoke of balance, fire and ice, gravity and resolve, dragon and human. One elder told Izuku, open quote, a king may command power, a hero commands trust. Together, you command peace, close quote. Izuku held on to those words. The world's people, one reaction. Across the globe, ordinary people shared the same feeling. Relief. No new war. No fear of unchecked power. Just two people who proved that strength could choose kindness. Art spread online. Murals, stories, children playing Dragon King and Hero. Chapter 10. Quiet moments between destinations. Between countries, on planes and balconies, it was quieter. Izuku leaned against you, tired but smiling. Do you ever miss being anonymous? He asked. You thought for a moment. No, you said, because wherever we go, I'm not alone anymore. Gravity softened. The world rested. Epilogue. What the world learned history books would later say, open quote, peace didn't come from fear of power. It came from love that refused to rule alone. Close quote. And somewhere above the clouds, a dragon flew gently, careful not to shake the sky, because the hero he loved was resting beside him. Chapter 11. A Quiet Kingdom. A Gentle Morning. The world never imagined this part. History remembered the Dragon King soaring through storms. It remembered the symbol of hope breaking the sky. But this was the truth of who you really were. Morning. When the dragon sleeps, late sunlight filtered through silk curtains in the palace bedroom, drifting slowly like it was afraid to wake the king. Gravity floated faintly in the air, soft subconscious, lifting dust particles like tiny stars. Izuku blinked awake first. He turned his head. There you were. Not a monarch, not a legend. Just Benedict. Hair messy, breathing slow, dragon mark faintly glowing along your cheek. Izuku smiled. "Good morning," he whispered, though you were still asleep. He carefully slipped out of bed, tiptoeing toward the balcony. The city below was quiet, peaceful, alive. People walking, children laughing, no sirens, no alarms, no war. He rested his elbows on the railing. "We did it," he murmured. Behind him, footsteps approached. "Talking to yourself again, hero?" He turned. You leaned against the doorframe, stretching slightly. Izuku laughed. "You were supposed to be sleeping. Kings don't sleep when their husbands look thoughtful." He blushed instantly. "Stop calling me that so casually." You walked closer, gravity softening around him automatically. "I married you," you said simply. "That makes it official." He smiled. Breakfast. The most powerful meal in the world. The palace kitchen was massive. You didn't use most of it. Instead, you both crowded around one small counter. Izuku cracked eggs carefully. You brewed tea with precise control, gravity guiding floating cups into place. Servants watched silently from afar, not because they were forbidden to help, but because they liked seeing their king look normal. Izuku flipped a pancake too hard. It flew. You flicked your wrist gently. Gravity caught it midair and placed it neatly back in the pan. Izuku stared. "Show off," you smirked. Midday, duties and hero work. By noon, reality returned. You attended meetings about disaster prevention, quirk regulations, reconstruction projects. Izuku attended hero briefings, patrol routes, rescue coordination, training programs for young heroes. Sometimes your worlds overlapped, sometimes they didn't, but every schedule shared one rule. Open quote, lunch together. Close quote, today you met under a banyan tree in the palace gardens. Izuku dropped beside you with a tired sigh. Tiring day? Always, he said. You? You leaned back against the trunk. Ruling the world is surprisingly paperwork heavy. He laughed so hard gravity accidentally lifted the bench. Afternoon, when legends walk among children. Later, you visited a nearby school. Not for speeches, just presence. Kids surrounded you instantly. Show the dragon form. Are you really a king? Is Deku really stronger than you? Izuku panicked. Wait! You laughed softly. Only a little dragon today, you said. Golden scales shimmered briefly along your arm. The children gasped. Izuku knelt beside them. Strength isn't about who's stronger, he said. It's about who protects others. They listened, not because he was famous, but because he sounded sincere. Evening, the quiet after the crown. Sunset painted the sky orange. You and Izuku walked along the palace rooftop garden. No guards nearby, no cameras, just wind. I used to think happiness was loud, Izuku said. You looked at him. And now? He watched the horizon. Now I think it's quiet. You reached for his hand. Gravity softened again, as if the world leaned closer to listen. Night, the king and the hero at rest. Later, in bed, the city asleep beneath you, Izuku turned toward you. Benedict? Yes? Do you ever regret choosing me instead of politics or alliances? You didn't answer immediately. Instead, you brushed his hair aside. I chose you, you said softly, and everything else aligned because of that. His eyes softened. He leaned closer. No fireworks. No dramatic vows, just two people breathing in sync. Outside, the world slept peacefully, protected not by fear, but by the quiet certainty that love sat on the throne. If you want next, I can write Future Children / The War That Rewrote the Stars. Chapter 12, The War That Rewrote the Stars. The day the sky wasn't ours anymore. No prophecy warned them. No villain speech announced it. The invasion began with silence. Satellites went dark first, one by one, like stars being pinched out of existence. Then the sky over Earth fractured into glowing geometric rifts, tearing open reality itself. From them descended the Zerafion Collective, an alien civilization older than Earth's oceans, masters of bioengineered warfare, collectors of planets. Their message echoed across every screen on Earth, translated instantly into every language. Open quote. This world has been evaluated. Resistance is irrelevant. Close quote. For the first time in years, the world felt fear again. India. The first line. You felt it before the alarms. Gravity trembled. Not like panic, like something massive had noticed you. The Zerafian armada avoided most continents, but India drew them like gravity wells. Your power, your dragon nature, your very existence was an anomaly they could not allow. Target confirmed, their commander said. Neutralize the planetary keystone. That keystone was you. The first battle. Fire against the void. You rose into the sky as the Dragon King. Golden scales ignited, wings stretching across the clouds. Gravity folded inward around you, crushing alien warships into compact stars of wreckage. The world watched. Heroes fought below. Armies coordinated. Izuku fought everywhere at once. Rescuing, striking, refusing to let hope collapse. But the Zerafian adapted. They always did. Their weapons didn't just destroy matter. They ignored gravity. When power wasn't enough, the true Zerafian commander descended alone, a towering being of shifting light and impossible angles. Its presence bent physics. You are inefficient, it said calmly. Your gravitational constant is incomplete. It struck, not violently, precisely. Gravity unraveled around you. Your dragon form destabilized. The sky screamed as you fell, burning, spiraling, powerless. Benedict! Izuku's voice cut through everything. He caught you midair, like one for all, shattering the clouds beneath him, but even his strength couldn't stop your fall entirely. You hit the ground hard, too hard. On the brink. Time slowed. You could hear the war distantly, explosions muted, gravity silent, your vision blurred. You felt something you hadn't allowed yourself in years. Fear, not of death, but of leaving him behind. Izuku knelt beside you, hands shaking, bloodied but refusing to break. Stay with me, he begged. Please, don't you dare leave me now. You tried to speak. Nothing came. The Zerafian commander hovered above. Planetary keystone neutralized, it announced, commencing harvest. Ash evolution, when gravity remembered you. Then something ancient stirred. Not power. Purpose. Gravity didn't exist just to pull things down. It shaped galaxies, held planets together, decided where life could exist, and you had only ever used one direction of it. Your heart thundered. The world didn't need a king. It needed a constant. Gravity answered. Ascension. The ground lifted. Not exploded. Lifted. Gently. Impossibly. Your body rose without wings, not as a dragon, not as a man, but as a center point. Your quirk evolved into sovereign gravity. Control over direction, density, conceptual pull. You weren't manipulating gravity anymore. You defined it. Stars responded. Orbit formed around you. The Zerafian commander froze. Impossible, it said. You are not stellar class. You opened your eyes. The sky rearranged itself. I am, you said quietly, where things belong. The turning of the war. You didn't strike. You reassigned gravity. Alien fleets collapsed inward, crushed by their own mass. Wormholes inverted, folding shut like silk. Weapons fell uselessly, no longer knowing where down was. Izuku watched from below, tears streaming freely now. That's my king, he whispered. That's my husband. The birth of an interstellar empire. The Zerafian fled, but something else happened. Planets responded. Across the galaxy, worlds long abandoned, broken by unstable gravity, stabilized under your influence. Life bloomed. Atmospheres formed. Ecosystems awakened. India didn't conquer the stars. The stars aligned with it. Within decades, 356 plus inhabited planets, 1,000 plus unique species, a coalition founded not on force, but gravitational harmony. You refused to call it an empire. You named it, the astral commonwealth of Bharat India at its heart, Earth protected, life preserved. After the war, quiet again. Back on Earth, you woke slowly. Izuku was asleep beside you, head on your shoulder, still holding your hand like he'd never let go. You stayed, you whispered. He stirred. Always, he said, eyes wet, but smiling. Outside, the stars looked closer. Epilogue. What history said. History didn't remember the invasion as a war. It remembered it as the moment gravity learned compassion, and at the center of it all, a king who nearly fell, a hero who refused to let him go, and a universe that learned where it belonged. Cuts. Chapter 13. When the universe responded. The moment the war ended. When the Zerafian fleets vanished and the sky stitched itself back together, the universe did not cheer. It went silent. Across Earth and the newly stabilized planets, people stood frozen, staring upward, Staring at screens, staring at one truth. Open quote, Benedict lived. Gravity had evolved, the universe had chosen him, close quote. Then the reactions began. Your family, the House of the Dragon. In India, inside the ancient royal sanctum, elders who had lived through generations of dragon kings stood trembling. One elder whispered, voice breaking, open quote, he didn't just inherit the crown, he became its meaning. Close quote. Your family, those who had raised you not as a weapon but as a protector, watched the footage of your ascension with tears in their eyes. A senior royal matriarch pressed her palm to the screen. Open quote, you carried the weight of the cosmos, she said softly, and you didn't break. Close quote. For the first time in centuries, the royal banner was altered, not for conquest, but for guardianship of life beyond Earth. A mother's tears. In a quiet home in Japan, Izuku Midoriya watched everything unfold. She saw you fall. She saw Izuku scream your name. She saw gravity bend to save you. Her hands shook as she covered her mouth. Open quote, my son, she cried. He stood beside the universe. Close quote. When the broadcast confirmed your survival, she collapsed into the couch, sobbing, not in fear, but relief. Later, when Izuku called her, voice hoarse but smiling, Mom, Benedict's okay. She whispered, open quote, please tell him. Thank you for coming back to my son, close quote. All Might, the symbol watches, All Might stood silently in Yue's observation hall. For once, he didn't smile. He simply bowed his head. Open quote, you surpassed symbols, he said quietly. Both of you, close quote. When you returned to Earth, All Might greeted you not as king or cosmic force, but as family. You protected the future, he told you, and you trusted Izuku to stand with you. That trust mattered more than power. Class 1A, disbelief, pride, and tears. Class 1A watched the war together. Uraraka cried openly when Izuku held you while you were dying. Ida stood rigid, fists clenched, whispering prayers. Mina screamed, then cried, then screamed again when you rose. Kirishima wiped his eyes. That was manly beyond manly. Bakugo said nothing. Until the end. Then, open quote, Chesh! Figures the nerd would marry a walking universal constant. Close quote, but his voice cracked. India, a civilization's response. India didn't celebrate with fear. It celebrated with devotion. Temples rang bells, mosques offered prayers, churches lit candles, not to worship you, but to thank the universe for returning you alive. Across India, a phrase spread, open quote, our king fell for us. The universe lifted him back, close quote. India did not call itself an empire. It called itself, open quote, the keeper of balance, close quote. Earth's nations unity through a king. Japan declared a permanent alliance with the Astral Commonwealth. Open quote, we stand with the hero who stood with the cosmos, close quote. USA. Military leaders admitted openly, open quote, we could not stop that threat alone, close quote. Europe, historians named the event, open quote, the Second Dawn, close quote. Global public people didn't fear you. They trusted you, because when you could have ruled through force, you chose restraint. Alien civilizations, the cosmic reaction. Across the galaxy, species reacted in awe. The Virel ascetics, energy-based beings who had abandoned physical form. Open quote, gravity has chosen compassion, close quote. The Korth Dominion, a warrior species. They knelt, open quote, he defeated gods without cruelty, close quote. The Elith Gardens. A plant-based civilization newly born on one of the stabilized planets. Their first recorded message was simple, open quote, thank you for letting us exist, close quote. The Zerafian, fear and retreat. The remnants of the Zerafian collective retreated beyond known space. Their records changed. Where Earth was once labeled Harvest World, it was now marked, open quote, forbidden, protected by the Gravity Sovereign. Izuku. The quietest reaction. Late at night when the universe finally slept, Izuku sat beside you on the palace balcony. You scared me, he said softly. I know, you replied. He leaned into you, forehead against your shoulder. Open quote, but you came back, he whispered. So I'll keep standing beside you, no matter how big the universe gets. Close quote. Gravity softened, stars drifted peacefully. Across 356 planets would later say, open quote, power did not unite the universe. Love anchored it. Close quote. A king nearly died, a hero refused to let go, and the universe responded. 14. When respect was demanded by the universe. Deep, steady narrator voice. Slow pacing. The universe had changed. Out of 8,909 known stellar empires, most had accepted the new reality. They bowed, not in worship, but in understanding. Earth was protected. India stood at the center of balance. The gravity sovereign lived. But not all civilizations understood restraint. The 24. In the astral records, they would later be called the 24 Defiant Empires. Old powers, expansionist dynasties, civilizations that had ruled through fear for millennia. They refused to attend the Commonwealth Council. They refused to acknowledge Earth. And they refused to acknowledge you. Open quote, gravity is a force. One empire transmitted coldly, not a crown. Close quote. The insult echoed across interstellar channels. You heard it. You said nothing. At first. Reactions. Those who stood with you. India. In the Royal Council chamber, generals, scholars, and elders watched the transmission. No one spoke. Then one voice broke the silence. Open quote. They are testing him. An elder said quietly. And the universe. Close quote. India did not panic. India prepared. Not for war, but for defense of dignity. Earth across Earth. Reactions were swift. People remembered the invasion. They remembered you bleeding. They remembered Izuku screaming your name. Public sentiment unified instantly. Open quote. After everything he did, this is how they speak? Earth is not alone anymore. We stand with the Dragon King, close quote. Murals changed overnight. Not of war, of resolve. Izuku stood beside you during the broadcasts. He watched your jaw tighten, watched gravity thicken in the air. He reached for your hand. Benedict, he said softly. Breathe. You did, barely. The line they should not have crossed. The 24 didn't stop. They escalated. During a public interstellar forum, one empire spoke openly, mocking. Open quote. Earth's influence exists only because of sentiment. And sentiment is replaceable. Close quote. Then came the sentence. The one that broke restraint. Open quote. Remove the hero consort and the king becomes manageable. Close quote. Silence. Absolute. Total. Universal. Izuku's name had not been spoken, but everyone understood. When gravity lost patience, you stood, slowly. The room trembled, not violently, but unmistakably. Gravity did not surge. It listened. You spoke calmly, too calmly. Open quote. You may question my authority, you said. You may test my restraint. Close quote. The stars dimmed, open quote, but you do not threaten the person I love, close quote. Reality bent. Across 24-star systems, orbital patterns destabilized. Not collapsing, not destroying. Just enough. A warning. Planets shifted slightly off axis. Moons froze in place. Light delayed itself. The empires panicked. Sensors screamed. Gravity had not attacked them. It had noticed them. Reactions. Those who felt it. Alien empires. The 8,885. Shock. Fear. Respect. Messages flooded in. Open quote. Stand down. Do not provoke the sovereign. He is not ruling by force. He is holding the universe together. Close quote. Several empires immediately cut ties with the 24. Earth's reaction. Part 1. On Earth, people felt it. Not physically, emotionally. Animals stilled, oceans calmed, the sky felt heavy. Broadcasts showed distant stars flicker. A single thought spread worldwide. Open quote, he's angry, close quote. And then another, open quote, and he's holding back, close quote. Izuku, the anchor. Izuku stepped in front of you. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't shout, he placed both hands on your chest. Look at me, he said. Your breathing was uneven. Gravity rippled dangerously. Benedict, Izuku whispered. You came back for me. Now come back with me. Your name, not your title. The universe waited. Asha, calming the sovereign. All Might joined him. Not as a symbol, as a mentor. You don't need to prove anything, he said firmly. They already know. India's elders activated grounding protocols. Ancient dragon techniques meant not to suppress power, but to center it. Slowly, painfully, gravity stabilized. Stars returned to their paths. Earth's reaction. Aftermath. Earth exhaled. People cried, some prayed, some laughed in relief. News outlets didn't celebrate fear. They celebrated restraint. Open quote. He could have erased them. He chose not to. Close quote. Children asked their parents, open quote, is the king mad at us? Close quote. Parents answered honestly, open quote, no, he's protecting us. Close quote. The 24, broken pride. Within hours, the 24 issued retractions. Apologies. Some begged, some fled beyond charted space. Their names were removed from council records, not by force, by consensus. Epilogue. What the universe learned. Later, alone on the balcony, Izuku leaned into you, exhausted. I thought I lost you, he admitted. You closed your eyes. So did I, you said. Gravity softened, the stars shone steady. History would later write, open quote, the universe learned that day that power has limits, but love does not. Close quote. Chapter 15. The first council after the snap. Low, steady narrator voice. Calm, heavy pauses. The universe did not rush back to normal. After what happened, after gravity noticed the 24, space itself felt cautious, like a vast crowd holding its breath. So when the first interstellar council was called, it was not a meeting of power. It was a meeting of survivors. The council convenes. The council chamber existed in neutral space, a structure made of light and stabilized gravity, designed long ago to withstand supernova-level forces. Today it felt small. Representatives from 8,885 empires arrived. Some appeared as light, some as towering figures of stone and metal, some through holographic projection, too afraid to arrive in full presence. At the center, an empty space. Reserved, no throne, no symbol, just a gravity well, calm and perfectly controlled. You arrived last, not with spectacle, not with force. You simply were there. The chamber adjusted itself automatically. Every being in the room felt it. Gravity aligned. Reaction, the loyal majority. A wave passed through the council. Not fear, recognition. The Illith Gardens, plant-based civilization. Their representative bent low, vines folding inward. Open quote, the sovereign returns balanced, they said reverently. Life continues because of his restraint. Close quote. The Korth Dominion, warrior empire. Their commander placed a weapon on the floor. Open quote. We mistook mercy for weakness, he admitted. We will not make that error again. Close quote. The Varel ascetics energy beings pulsed softly. Open quote. Gravity stabilized our dying stars, they said. We stand with Earth. Close quote. One by one, empires declared alignment, not allegiance, trust. Earth's delegation. Earth did not send conquerors. It sent representatives of humanity, scientists, diplomats, heroes, and beside you, Izuku Midoriya, not armored, not glowing, just standing. The reaction rippled again. Whispers crossed frequencies. Open quote, that's him. The one who stopped the sovereign from collapsing reality. The anchor. Close quote. Earth's presence changed the tone instantly. This was not a tyrant's council. This was a shared future. Their seats remained empty. Deliberately. A reminder. The council archivist announced calmly, open quote, the 24 defiant empires are suspended indefinitely. Their systems are under observation. Close quote. No cheers. No applause. Just understanding. They had chosen pride. The universe had chosen balance. You speak. When you finally spoke, the chamber quieted completely. You did not raise your voice. You didn't need to. Open quote. I did not create the Commonwealth to rule you, you said evenly. I created it so no world would face extinction alone. Close quote. A pause. Open quote. But make no mistake. Threaten Earth, threaten my people, or threaten my husband. Close quote. Gravity deepened. Just slightly enough. Open quote. And the universe will respond. Close quote. Not a threat. A fact. Reaction. Aliens hear the difference. Some beings flinched, others relaxed because they understood now. You were not angry anymore. You were clear. A minor empire representative whispered, open quote, he's not warning us because he wants to rule, close quote. Another answered, open quote, he's warning us because he doesn't want to have to. Close quote. Izuku stepped forward. Unannounced, the room tensed. You turned, but you trusted him. He spoke plainly. Open quote. We don't want fear, he said. We want cooperation. Close quote. No quirk, no power, just honesty. Open quote. If we mess up, tell us. If you're afraid, talk to us. That's how Earth survives. Close quote. Silence followed, then something rare. Applause. Not sound. Energy resonance. The alien equivalent of agreement. Earth's reaction. Live broadcast. Back on Earth, billions watched. People held hands. People cried. People whispered. Open quote. He's calm again. They're listening. We're safe. Close quote. News anchors didn't dramatize. They spoke softly. Open quote. The Dragon King did not conquer the universe. He reminded it how to behave. Close quote. Children across Earth drew pictures, not of destruction, of stars holding hands. The Council's final declaration. The Council issued a unified statement. Open quote. The Astral Commonwealth exists to protect life. Earth is under universal accord. The Gravity Sovereign is recognized as its stabilizing constant. Close quote. For the first time, Not one empire objected. Aftermath, quiet again. Later, on the observation balcony, Izuku exhaled deeply. They listened, he said. You nodded. They had to. He leaned against you. Thank you for coming back to me. Gravity softened. Stars drifted peacefully again. What history recorded. History would remember this council not as a show of power, but as the moment the universe learned, open quote, respect is not demanded through destruction. It is earned through restraint. Close quote. And at the center of it all, a king who snapped once and chose calm forever after. Chapter 16. When New Life Met Gravity. Warm, deep narrator voice, slow, reverent. The universe did not stop expanding. It breathed. After the council, after the warning, after respect was restored, something unexpected happened across the astral commonwealth. Life began to answer back. The call of the new species. On worlds once considered marginal, too unstable, too fractured, too fragile, life emerged. Not aggressive, not expansionist, just curious. They were the new species, born after the war, shaped by stabilized gravity, and they all asked the same question, translated across hundreds of forms of communication. Open quote. Who holds us together? Close quote. So a meeting was arranged, not a summit, not a trial, a greeting. The Hall of First Contact. The Hall of First Contact was built in orbit around a young blue star, its light, gentle, non-lethal, welcoming. You arrived quietly. No crown, no armor, no dragon form, just gravity, perfectly balanced. Beside you walked Izuku Midoriya. Heroes, scientists, observers from Earth followed at a respectful distance. But everyone knew. This moment wasn't about them. The new species, one by one. The Orolith beings grown from crystal and sound. When they entered, their forms chimed softly, reacting to your presence. Their eldest spoke, open quote, when our planet cracked, gravity held long enough for us to be born, close quote. They bowed, not low, but precise. Open quote, we wished to see the one who did not let us fall, close quote. You inclined your head in return. The Thalwen amphibious beings from a water-heavy world. Their representative floated forward, bioluminescence pulsing. Open quote, our tides used to kill us, it said gently. Now they teach our young how to swim. Close quote. They did not kneel. They smiled. Their species version of it. The Kesh of low gravity. Fragile, avian-like beings whose bones could never withstand harsh pull, they hovered nervously, until gravity softened around them, instinctively, unconsciously, because you noticed. Their leader's voice trembled. Open quote, you adjusted the universe without ever seeing us. Close quote. A pause. Open quote, that is why we trust you. Close quote. Earth's reaction. Watching history. On Earth, the broadcast reached every nation. No shouting, no fear, just awe. People watched creatures they had never imagined, speaking calmly, respectfully, gratefully. A child in India asked, open quote, did our king make them? Close quote. A teacher answered softly, open quote, no, he just made room for them. Close quote. Izuku, the human bridge. Izuku stepped forward, not because he was asked, but because the moment felt right. I'm from Earth, he said simply. We don't always get things right. A ripple of attention passed through the hall. But we know what it means to be scared of falling, he continued, and we know what it means when someone catches you. He gestured gently toward you. He doesn't rule us with gravity. He trusts us with it. The new species listened, not as subjects, as equals. The question they all asked, one voice, young, uncertain, echoed from the gathered species. Open quote, what happens if you disappear? Close quote. The hall went still. You answered honestly. Open quote, then gravity will remain, you said, because I am not its owner. Close quote. A pause. Open quote. I am its caretaker. Close quote. Izuku looked at you then and smiled. The universe accepts the difference. The elder observers, ancient empires, old powers, felt it. This wasn't fear-based order. This wasn't dominance. This was stewardship. A Korth warrior whispered to another, open quote, he is not the strongest being alive, close quote. The other replied, open quote, no. He is the one who stops the strongest from destroying everything, close quote. The first gift. The Orolith offered a crystal tone, recorded gravity resonance. The Thalwen shared water seeds capable of restoring dead oceans. The Kesh offered nothing material. They simply said, open quote, if you ever fall, we will remember how you kept us flying. Close quote. You accepted all three, quietly. After. just the two of you. Later, on a viewing platform overlooking the star, Izuku exhaled slowly. They weren't afraid of you, he said. You nodded. They shouldn't be. He leaned against you. They were grateful. Gravity softened. Stars held their places. What history wrote. Across 356 planets, the same sentence entered records in different languages. Open quote, power created order, but care created life. Close quote. And for the first time since the universe learned your name, it spoke it gently. Chapter 17. Beyond gravity, beyond fear. Deep, cinematic, narrator voice. Long pauses. Let the weight sit. The universe learned something terrifying the first time you almost died. It learned that gravity could lose its anchor. It learned it again the second time. The threat that should not exist. It did not come from the known galaxy. It did not announce itself. It simply arrived. A phenomenon older than empires, older than stars themselves, known in forgotten records as the null continuum. Not an army, not a species. A concept, a region of reality where gravity unraveled, energy forgot direction, existence slowly unwrote itself, and it was moving toward the astral commonwealth, toward you. The decision of a king. You felt it immediately, not fear, recognition. This thing, you said quietly to the council, is not something others can fight. Izuku turned sharply. Then don't go alone. You smiled faintly. I won't, you replied, but I can't let it reach Earth. Against every plea, every objection, you went, alone. Where gravity means nothing. The null continuum was silence without peace. Your gravity power strained immediately, not resisted, not countered, but ignored. Your dragon form fractured mid-transformation, scales faded, wings failed, light dimmed. For the second time in your life, you began to fall, not through space, through absence. The blink of death. Again, your heart slowed, thoughts fragmented. You remembered Earth, India, Izuku. Not fear, regret. Open quote, I promised I'd always come back. Close quote. The continuum pressed in. Your existence began to dissolve, not violently, but gently, like being erased from a story. The universe waited. Evolution, beyond transformation, gravity had been your language, then your crown, then your constant. But now, gravity was too small. Something deeper awakened. Not force, presence. You were no longer pulling things together. You were deciding what was allowed to exist near you. Your transformation did not become larger. It became simpler. No scales, no wings, no light. Just you, standing, and reality choosing to stay. Your quirk evolved into something unrecorded. Sovereign domain, a space where laws do not break, existence does not fade, collapse is denied. You were no longer gravity's ruler. You were its boundary. The null continuum recoiled, not in pain and incompatibility, but the cost was everything. Your body could not sustain it. You collapsed into stillness. Earth. The day the king didn't return. Weeks passed, then months. No signal, no presence, no gravitational resonance. The universe felt hollow. On Earth, panic did not erupt. Something worse happened. Silence. Izuku, the one who stood in your place. Izuku Midoriya did not break. He stood up. 2 months. 2 months of constant defense. 2 months where threats tested the Commonwealth, sensing weakness. And Izuku answered every one. Not with rage, with resolve. Something awakened in him. Not one for all. Something older. Something quieter. Hero domain, a state where hope stabilized reality. Fear lost momentum. People refused to fall apart. He didn't overpower enemies. He outlasted them. Heroes followed him instinctively. Alien allies listened without question. They didn't see a replacement. They saw an anchor. Open quote. He's holding the line, they whispered. For someone who hasn't come back yet. Close quote. Earth's reaction, living with uncertainty. People lit candles nightly, not prayers. Promises. India held silent vigils. Japan stood watch. Children left drawings of dragons and green lightning. No one said you were gone. They said, open quote, he's late. Close quote. The return. The universe felt it first. A pressure, a boundary reasserting itself. Izuku froze mid-battle. His breath caught. He's back. Reality folded gently. You stepped out of nothingness. Not dramatic, not radiant, just present. Alive. Changed. Izuku dropped to his knees. Not weak, just overwhelmed. You caught him before he fell. Sorry, you said softly. I took the long way. Reactions. The universe exhales. Earth erupted. Not cheers. Relief. People cried openly. Leaders bowed their heads. The stars felt steady again. Alien civilizations recorded a new law. Open quote, if the boundary falls, the hero stands. If the hero stands too long, the boundary returns. Close quote. Just the two of you. Later, away from everything, Izuku pressed his forehead to yours. Don't do that again, he whispered. You smiled gently. No promises, you replied, but I'll always come back to you. Reality agreed. What history wrote? History would record this not as a war, but as the moment the universe learned. Open quote, power can disappear. Hope can endure. And some bonds are strong enough to hold existence together. Chapter 18, When the Boundary Broke. Narrative low, slow, trembling with restraint. The universe believed it had learned its lesson. It was wrong. The return of the 24 empires. They did not come as conquerors this time. They came as survivors who refused humility. The same 24 empires, once warned, once shamed, once spared, returned from the dark edges of existence. But they were no longer what they had been. They had done the impossible. They had harvested the null. Fragments of the null continuum, contained, twisted, weaponized. Reality scars forged into power cores. And at their center stood two kings. Not rulers, anomalies. The two kings. They were not louder than you. They were not brighter. They were wrong. Their presence bent your sovereign domain, tearing holes where certainty once held. When you clashed, gravity failed, space screamed. And for the first time since your evolution, you were overpowered. Driven back, forced to one knee. Across the battlefield, Izuku fought like a storm held together by will alone. Then a strike, clean, cruel, final. He fell. Izuku, half dead. You felt it before you saw it. That tearing absence, you reached him. His breathing was shallow. His body burned out, his awakened power collapsing in on itself. He looked up at you. Still tried to smile. You came back, he whispered. Your hands shook as you opened a spatial fold. Recovery. Safe. Away. I'll finish this, you said quietly. And sent him away. The moment everything changed, the battlefield went silent. Not because of fear, because something fundamental shifted. For the first time, you did not hold yourself back. You did not calculate. You did not balance. You did not care what history would write. You let go. The multiverse shook, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. Timelines stuttered, dimensions rippled, stars paused mid-fusion, every universe felt it, a pressure not of force, but of decision. You stood, and reality understood. Open quote. The boundary is angry. Close quote. Beyond, the true form. No dragon, no human, no king. You became a concept given will. Where you stepped, null collapsed into nothing, harvested reality unraveled, sovereign domain expanded infinitely. You did not attack. You denied. One of the two kings screamed, not in pain but in terror. Open quote, what are you? Close quote, voice carried across existence. Open quote, I am the reason you were spared. Close quote. And then, they ceased to matter. Reaction, everywhere all at once. Earth people dropped to their knees. Not worship. Instinct. Children cried. Elders wept. Heroes froze mid-air. They felt it in their bones. Open quote, he's angry, someone whispered. Close quote. Open quote. No, another replied. He's protecting. Close quote. Allied civilizations. The new species trembled. Not from fear, but understanding. Open quote. This, the Oralith recorded, is why he restrained himself. Close quote. The Thalwen elders dimmed their lights. Open quote. We thought mercy was weakness, they admitted. Now we know it was choice. Close quote. The remaining empires. Those who once doubted you shut down fleets. Kings abdicated. Warlords fled. Archives were sealed. One ancient ruler said quietly, open quote, we pushed him because we survived him once. Close quote. Another answered, open quote, no. We survived because he chose not to end us. Close quote. The reason why this time was different, it was not power. It was not pride. It was Izuku. The universe understood this instantly. Every reaction reached the same conclusion. Open quote. The boundary tolerates insult. It tolerates defiance. It even tolerates betrayal. Close quote. Open quote. But it does not tolerate harm to the one who holds hope together. Close quote. Aftermath. Silence without fear. The 24 empires were gone, not destroyed, removed from relevance. The null was unmade. Harvesting erased from possibility. The multiverse stabilized around your presence. Slowly, you pulled yourself back, contained, human again. The rage ended the moment the threat did. Return to recovery. You appeared beside Izuku's bed, alive, breathing. He stirred weakly. Did I miss it? He murmured. You laughed softly, voice breaking. No, you said. You held the line long enough? You took his hand. The universe finally relaxed. What history will never forget. No one would ever challenge you like that again. Not because of fear, but because everyone now understood, open quote, the boundary is gentle, the hero is kind. But together, close quote, open quote, they are the reason existence continues, close quote. If you Chapter 19, when gravity was gone, narrator voiced, trembling, controlled, long pauses. You woke up, and the universe felt wrong. Not broken, not silent, empty. The realization you tried to sit up, the room tilted, not because gravity shifted, because you no longer felt it. No pull, no boundary, no sovereign presence. Just wait. Your breath caught. You reached inward instinctively, desperately, and found nothing answering back. Your powers were gone. The reaction was immediate. Across 356 planets, systems destabilized. Artificial gravity fields flickered, stabilized rifts reopened, trade routes collapsed mid-fold. Astral beacons screamed warnings. The Commonwealth entered emergency status for the first time in its existence. Scholars whispered the unthinkable. Open quote, the boundary is gone. Close quote. Earth, heroes in pain. On Earth, heroes felt it physically. Some collapsed mid-air. Others clutched their heads as reality stuttered around them. Not because they relied on your power, but because the balance they never noticed was missing. Weather patterns twisted, oceans surged, fault lines groaned, news channels abandoned commentary. There was nothing to explain, only fear. The first time you were afraid, your hands shook. Not from weakness, from helplessness. For the first time since you were crowned, since you evolved, since you became a boundary, you were just a person in a bed. Izuku, you whispered. Izuku, calm in the storm. He was already there, sitting beside you, unmoving, steady. He took your hand firm, grounding. I know, he said softly. You stared at him. How are you so calm? Your voice cracked. I lost everything. I failed. He shook his head. No, he said. You protected everyone. This is just the aftermath. You swallowed hard. What if I can't fix it? Izuku smiled gently. Then we fix it together. The name spoken in fear. Then the alarms changed. Not louder, colder. A name appeared on every screen. A name the world prayed never to see again. All for one. The return of Afo. He emerged not from chaos, but confidence. Your power burned inside him. Gravity, domain, boundary fragments, enough to tear cities apart, enough to crown himself a god. His laughter echoed across hijacked broadcasts. Open quote. At last, he said, I hold the power that frightened the universe. Close quote. He did not look at you. He looked past you, at the world Earth's despair. People screamed. Heroes braced for extinction. Governments prepared evacuation protocols they knew wouldn't matter. If he had your power, there was no answer, except one. The man who stood up, All Might stepped forward. Not in his prime, not glowing, just tall, just unbreakable. He looked at the sky where AFO hovered and smiled. Open quote, you know, he said calmly, you always needed someone else's strength. Close quote, AFO sneered. Open quote, and you always relied on symbols. Close quote. All Might clenched his fist. Open quote, no, he replied, I relied on people. Close quote. The final battle, Afo struck first. Gravity bent, cities strained. All Might did not dodge. He advanced. Every blow he landed was not powered by quirks stolen, but by will earned. He fought smarter, closer, relentless. AFO's stolen power surged wildly, unbalanced, unstable, because it was never meant to be taken. The moment it ended. AFO overreached. All Might saw it. One final strike, not flashy, not loud, decisive. The stolen gravity collapsed inward. AFO fell, defeated, silenced, for good. Reaction. The world breaks down crying. People didn't cheer. They sobbed. Heroes dropped to their knees. Children clutched their families. Veterans bowed their heads. Open quote, All Might did it, they whispered. Again. Close quote. You felt it then. Not your power returning, but hope stabilizing the chaos. Izuku squeezed your hand. See, he said softly. You're not alone. Tears slipped down your face. Not from loss, from understanding. What the world learned, history would record this moment carefully. Open quote, power can be stolen, balance can be shaken, but when it mattered, close quote, open quote, humanity stood anyway, close quote, and somewhere deep within the universe, something waited. Not gone, just resting. For Chapter 20, The Healing of Hearts. Soft narrator voice, slow, breathy pauses. The battle was over. The null was gone. The 24 empires had vanished from relevance. All Might had returned hope to a trembling world. But in the quiet of your chambers, in the soft light of Earth's evening, the world seemed to shrink down to two people. Izuku Midoriya stood across the room, his uniform torn and smudged, a soft bruise across his cheek. But his eyes were alive, burning with a mix of relief, awe, and something deeper. You stepped forward, hands trembling slightly, still feeling the phantom echoes of the stolen gravity. Open quote, "I thought I lost you again," Izuku whispered. Close quote, "Your chest tightened, words caught in your throat." Open quote, "You'll never lose me," you said finally, taking his hand. Close quote. The simple touch sent warmth through both of you. Gravity, your power, your very being, felt like it could relax for the first time in centuries. Kisses and confession. He stepped closer. Your foreheads touched. Soft breaths mingling. Open quote, "I was so scared. I didn't want to lose you like last time," he murmured. Close quote. You smiled softly, brushing his hair back. Open quote, "You never will. Not if I can help it." Close quote. He leaned in. Lips met in a gentle, lingering kiss, slow and full of emotion. Not rushed, not for anyone but the two of you. When you pulled back slightly, you both laughed softly, the kind of laugh that releases months of tension and fear. Open quote, "I can't believe we're here," he said, resting his forehead against yours again. "After everything," close quote. Open quote, "We survived," you whispered, "together." Close quote. Another kiss followed, deeper this time. A kiss that promised more than just affection. It promised loyalty, protection, and shared lives. Hands intertwined, you walked to the balcony, gazing at the stars above. Each one seemed to bow slightly to you, the Dragon King and his hero consort. Hints of new adventures. The universe was healing. The new species were thriving. The multiverse had stabilized. But even as the stars shone in calm, a distant flicker hinted that not all threats were gone. Something stirred beyond the edge of known space. You and Izuku stood together, wrapped in each other's arms. Not just a king and a hero, not just a couple, a force that the universe itself respected and feared. Open quote, "Whatever comes next," you said, voice steady, "we face it together." Close quote. He nodded, resting his head against your chest. Open quote, "Together, always," close quote. And for a moment, there was only you, him, and the quiet music of a universe breathing in relief. Chapter 21, A New Life in the Universe. Slow, tender, full of awe. The universe had finally settled into calm. You and Izuku had survived horrors that would have broken anyone else. The 24 empires had been undone. The null was gone. Gravity had returned to you. And yet something new stirred. Not in the stars, but in the quiet heartbeat of life itself. Izuku had been weak after the null incident. Months of recovery, of exhaustion from holding the universe in his hands, left him vulnerable. But there was something miraculous. Open quote, "Benedict," he whispered one morning, holding your hand as you sat beside him, your presence grounding him. I think something's happening," close quote. You frowned, concern creasing your brow. Open quote, "Happening how?" Close quote. He placed a hand on his chest where warmth had begun to bloom in a way neither of you had expected. Open quote. "A new life growing inside me," he said softly, awe in his voice. "I don't understand how, but it's real." Close quote. For a moment, the universe seemed to pause. Gravity hummed gently around you as if acknowledging a new rhythm, a new heartbeat to protect. The universe feels it. The news did not stay quiet. It radiated. Earth. Children squealed in delight. Heroes wept quietly, whispering congratulations to one another. Scientists marveled at the miracle, how life could exist in a hero carrying one quirk in a world stabilized by cosmic forces. Allied planets. The new species, from the Orolith to the Kesh, celebrated in ways they could. A song of crystal, a pulse of light, a dance of wind. They recognized the gift, this continuation of hope. Your people in India, elders bowed in reverence, not for ceremony, but for gratitude. A dragon king, and now a new generation, anchored the world and the stars. Even the distant empires, the ones who had not respected you before, recorded the event. Not in hostility, but in stunned acknowledgement. Open quote. "The Dragon Sovereign's union has birthed life. Reality stabilizes around it." Close quote. The intimate moment. You sat with Izuku under the soft glow of the evening stars. His hand rested on the curve of his belly, and your hand covered his. The air was still, save for your steady breaths. Open quote. I I don't know how to feel, he admitted. Part of me is terrified, but part of me is so full of love. Close quote. You leaned in, pressing your forehead to his. Open quote. You're going to be incredible, you whispered, and I'll be here every moment. We'll protect this life together, like we've protected the universe. Close quote. He smiled, tears welling in his eyes. Open quote. I always knew, with you, I could survive anything. Close quote. And then, in a quiet moment, you kissed him, a kiss that spoke of relief, love, trust, and devotion. It lingered long, gentle, and full of warmth. Another followed, deeper this time, carrying the weight of all you'd endured together. Hands intertwined, hearts beating together, you let the universe fade away for a moment, leaving only the two of you and the new life growing inside him. A new hope for the story. This child was not just life. It was a symbol, a reminder that after wars, after Null, after stolen powers, the world and the multiverse still had hope. Even distant threats lurking in corners of space would now face not just two heroes, but a family anchored by love, trust, and cosmic power. The child's heartbeat pulsed softly in rhythm with gravity itself, and somewhere deep within you could feel it. The universe was ready to advance. Open quote. No matter what comes next, you said to Izuku, hand over his, over your child. We'll face it together. Close quote. He nodded, resting his head against your chest, and the stars above seemed to shine brighter. The universe was watching and smiling. Chapter 22. Visiting home, visiting hearts. Slow, tender, filled with awe. Pauses between emotional beats. The stars had settled. The Null was gone. The 24 empires had vanished. And now, for the first time in what felt like years, the universe allowed something simple. Peace. But peace wasn't enough. You had to see them. Not as a Dragon King, not as the sovereign who shaped galaxies, but as the one who loved Izuku. Izuku's mother. In a quiet home, you arrived at a modest house on a quiet street, the smell of home baking still lingering. Izuku's mother, Izuku Midoriya, opened the door. Her eyes widened. Not in fear, not in awe, but in relief. Open quote. Benedict, she whispered, almost breaking. I wasn't sure we'd see you again. Close quote. You stepped forward gently, kneeling slightly to meet her gaze. Open quote. I promised him I'd always come back, you said softly, and I promised the universe I'd protect him, but none of that matters if I can't care for him too. Close quote. Tears welled in her eyes. She hugged you without hesitation. And in that embrace you felt years of fear, pain, and hope intertwine. Open quote. He's happy, she said, voice trembling, and I trust you to keep him safe. Close quote. You smiled faintly, squeezing her hands. Open quote. Always. Close quote. Hack Izuku's family, a full reunion. Next came his father, his younger siblings. You were greeted with a mix of laughter, awkward shyness, and warmth. Open quote. So, you really survived? His little brother asked, eyes wide. Even after Null? Close quote. You chuckled, ruffling his hair. Open quote. Even after Null. And yes, I owe some of that to your brother. Close quote. His father nodded solemnly, respect clear in his eyes. Open quote. You've protected him and all of us, he said quietly. We can finally trust the world again. Close quote. For a long while you simply sat with them, sharing stories, laughter, and memories. Not as king and hero, not as savior and ally, but as part of a family. Friends. The Class 1A gang. Next came UA's finest, your future hero-in-laws as you jokingly called them. Kirishima shouted, wrapping you in a bear hug immediately. Open quote. Finally, you're real. We thought you were just a cosmic rumor. Close quote. Bakugo scowled, arms crossed, but there was respect in his eyes. Open quote. Don't get in his way, he muttered. He's fragile sometimes, but he's strong when it counts. Close quote. You laughed softly. Open quote. I'll do my best to always stay strong for him. Close quote. Midoriya's friends crowded around Izuku, who blushed furiously at your presence beside him, hand in yours. They teased, laughed, and joked, but underneath it all, you felt their love for him and their cautious trust in you. Open quote. He's happy, Uraraka whispered. That's all that matters. Close quote. A moment of quiet with Izuku. Later, you and Izuku slipped away from the crowd, standing in the small garden behind his house. Open quote. You're a little terrifying to them, he said, arms wrapped around your waist. Close quote. You smiled down at him, brushing his hair gently. Open quote. Not terrifying, just protective. Close quote. He leaned up, kissing you softly, a kiss of relief, a kiss of intimacy, a kiss that said everything neither of you needed to put into words. Open quote, I never want to leave this, he murmured. Close quote. Open quote. You won't, you replied, holding him close. Not now. Not ever. Close quote. Gravity didn't hum around you this time. The universe didn't quake. It paused. It watched two people bound by love, holding each other and letting the world fall away. The universe reacts, silently, warmly. Somewhere in orbit, the planets, moons, and stars align gently. Life on Earth, from the tiniest insect to the oldest hero, felt calm. Alien allies sensed the bond, sending pulses of approval across interstellar networks. Even distant civilizations noted, open quote, the Dragon King does not just hold power, he holds love. Close quote. And for the first time in a long while, the universe allowed your family, your hero, your life together to feel truly, deeply human. The future hinted. As you left Izuku's home, holding his hand, you both knew this was only the beginning. The child growing within him would change everything. The multiverse would continue to stir with threats. The 24 empires could return again someday. But no matter what came next, open quote, you had each other, close quote. And that alone could hold the universe in balance. The air of gravity, your voice slow, deep, steady, a story meant to be heard under starlight. Peace never lasted long in a universe that had learned your name. But this time, peace came with a heartbeat. The first sign, the universe notices the child. 3 weeks after visiting Izuku's family, something changed in the stars. Not violently, not dangerously, gently. Across multiple systems, astronomers reported the same strange phenomenon. Stars stabilized without correction, gravity wells softened around Earth, time flow anomalies slowed. At the center of every calculation was the same location, Izuku. Inside him, the child was not just growing. It was already anchoring reality. The summoning of the council. The Astral Commonwealth called an emergency gathering, not because of danger, because of awe. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered again in the Hall of First Contact. This time, when you entered with Izuku beside you, the reaction was immediate. Not fear, not worship. Respect. The Orlith chimed softly. The Thalwen dimmed their lights in reverence. An Elder Korth rose slowly and said, open quote, the universe has never recorded this before. A child born not of conquest, but of balance. Close quote. Izuku shifted nervously beside you. You placed a steady hand at his back. I'm still just a person, Izuku said quietly. The elder smiled. Open quote, so is every miracle that ever changed existence. Close quote. The warning. A new threat stirs. Then the tone changed. A projection ignited in the center of the hall. A region of space far beyond known borders, not the null. Something older. The scholars spoke carefully, open quote. When a stabilizing life form is conceived, forces that thrive on collapse begin to move. Close quote. A name appeared in ancient script, the Void. Shepherds, entities that fed on unstable realities. World eaters. Silencers of bloodlines that could reshape law itself. And now they were aware of your child. Your response. The hall waited. Empires held their breath. You did not rage. You did not transform. You simply said calmly, then they will not reach this universe. No thunder, no light, just certainty. And the council understood. Open quote. The boundary had chosen to become a father. Close quote. Quiet strength. Later, aboard your flagship, Izuku stood at the observation window watching galaxies drift. They're scared of our baby, he whispered. You stepped beside him. Not scared, you corrected gently. Respectful. He looked down at his hands. I never thought I'd be part of something like this. You placed your hand over his. Not dramatic, just warm. Neither did I, you said, but I'm glad it's with you. He smiled softly. No kiss, no passion, just silence shared and trust. Earth's reaction, hope mixed with fear. When the news reached Earth, the reaction spread slowly. Not panic, concern. Heroes trained harder. Scientists monitored space-time. Izuku's mother placed her hand over her heart nightly and whispered, open quote, please let my grandchild live in peace. Close quote. All Might, older now, watched the stars from a hospital balcony and murmured, open quote, a child strong enough to calm the universe. What kind of hero will you become? Close quote. The aliens. Protective instinct. The new species you had met before made a decision without asking. The Orolith created resonance shields around key systems. The Thalwyn redirected their fleets. The Kesh established watch points in low-gravity corridors. Not because you ordered them, but because, open quote, that child, they said, was born from the king who spared us. Close quote. As shared the first shadow, far beyond the edge of mapped reality, something moved. Slow. Immense. Void Shepherd scouts detected the stabilizing pulse, and for the first time in millennia, they changed course. Toward you, toward Earth, toward the unborn heir of gravity. What history began to write. Records across the multiverse marked a new era. Open quote. The age of balance ends. The age of inheritance begins. Close quote. And at the center of it all, not a war, not a throne, but two people standing quietly together that's about protecting a life that might one day hold the universe in its hands. Chapter 24. The Watchers at the Edge of Existence. Deep, slow, echoing as if spoken through starlight. The universe did not scream when the Void Shepherds arrived. It held its breath. The first contact. Scouts in the dark. They did not enter through rifts. They did not tear reality. They simply appeared. Three shapes at the edge of mapped space. Not ships, not beings. Absences shaped like thought. Astral sensors failed instantly. Gravity around them folded inward, then refused to respond at all. Across the Commonwealth, alarms whispered instead of rang. A single message repeated on every channel. Open quote. Unknown presence. Threat level undefined. Close quote. And then they moved. Toward Earth. Toward Izuku. Toward the unborn heir. You feel it first. You were standing on the balcony of your flagship when it happened. Not pain, not fear, a pull, not gravitational, parental. Your hand moved instinctively to your chest. They're here, you said quietly. Izuku turned pale. So soon? You nodded. They've found the signal. The emergency conclave. Within hours, the largest council in multiversal history assembled. Not hundreds. Thousands. Representatives from empires that had never spoken. Ancient machines. Energy beings. Civilizations older than time. The Hall of First Contact expanded itself just to contain the gathering, and when you entered, every voice fell silent. Not because you commanded it, because the scouts had been detected. Fear had finally reached everyone. The warning, an ancient archivist from the Ninth Spiral spoke, voice trembling. Open quote. The Void Shepherds do not conquer. They erase futures. Close quote. Another followed. Open quote. They hunt stabilizing bloodlines. Children born capable of rewriting law, close quote. A third whispered the truth, open quote. They have never failed, close quote. All eyes turned to Izuku. Not accusing, protective, terrified. Tash, your decision. The defense of everything. You stood, no crown, no transformation, just calm. They won't touch him, you said simply. A murmur rippled through the hall. How? One empire demanded. You looked around the chamber. At all of you. Silence, then understanding. The Multiverse Defense Network is born. For the first time in existence, the multiverse united. Not under conquest, under protection. The gravity veil. You extended your power outward. Not as dominance, but design. A layered gravitational lattice formed around Earth, nearby systems, Izuku himself. A field that did not block entry, but made hostile existence impossible to sustain. The Allied rings. The Orolith created resonance sentinels. The Thalwyn stationed living fleets in orbit around key star routes. The Kesh built invisible low-gravity corridors, escape paths, evacuation lines, sanctuaries. Heroes from Earth were stationed across dimensional gates, not soldiers. Guardians. The final line. At the center of it all, you remained, not as king, as father-to-be. You anchored the entire network personally. If it failed, it would fail through you first. Earth's reaction. The planet that was being guarded. When the truth reached Earth, the world did not panic. It organized. Cities practiced evacuations. Heroes volunteered without question. Children drew pictures of dragons around a green-haired hero holding a glowing star. News anchors said quietly, open quote, for the first time, the universe is protecting one child more than any empire, close quote. Izuku's mother placed her hands together in prayer every night. Open quote, please, let my son's child live in peace. Close quote. Izuku, quiet courage. That night, aboard the flagship, Izuku sat beside you in silence. They're risking everything for us, he whispered. For the baby, you corrected gently. He nodded. I'm scared, he admitted. You turned to him, not as king, not as boundary, just as someone who loved him. So am I, you said honestly. Then softer. But fear means we're protecting something worth more than ourselves. He rested his head against your shoulder. No kiss, no passion, just breathing together. And for a moment, the universe felt steady again. At the edge of reality, the scouts observed. They did not attack, not yet. One of them shifted, and for the first time in their recorded existence, they sent a signal. Not to you. To something far older, far deeper, far more dangerous. Open quote, target confirmed, air of stability detected, requesting the Harbinger, close quote. What history recorded that night. Across countless archives, the same line appeared. Open quote, the multiverse did not unite for war. It united to protect an unborn child, close quote. And in the center of it all, two people, one carrying hope. One holding the universe together long enough for that hope to be born. Chapter 25, When Heroes War Planets. Narrator voice, deep, echoing, ancient, every sentence spaced, every moment heavy. The signal reached the Void Shepherd home realm. And something answered. The Harbinger arrives. It did not travel, it did not teleport, it simply began to exist, a presence so massive that 12 universes recorded gravitational distortions at the same instant. Stars dimmed, time hesitated, and then slowly the Harbinger emerged. Not a being, a moving law. Its form resembled a living constellation, bones of collapsed galaxies, eyes made of dying timelines. Its voice did not echo, it rewrote. Open quote, stabilizing air located. Erasure authorized, close quote. Across the multiverse, every defense alarm screamed at once. The child awakens too early on your flagship, Izuku cried out. Not in pain, in shock. You were at his side instantly. Inside him, the child's heartbeat flared. Reality bent. The room stabilized itself without your input. Medical scanners went wild. Doctors whispered in disbelief. Open quote, the fetus is generating gravitational law fields. It's not reacting to danger, it's protecting itself, close quote. And then the impossible, a soft golden pulse spread from Izuku's abdomen. The gravity veil strengthened on its own. The unborn child had awakened. Early, too early, the Harbinger turned and locked onto that pulse. The Sanctuary, hiding hope. You made the hardest decision of your life, not to fight, to run. You moved Izuku to Sanctuary Prime, a hidden planet existing between timelines, shielded by layered realities. A place only you could reach. Surrounded by allied fleets, guardian species, temporal barriers, and yourself, anchoring the planet personally. When Izuku arrived, pale and shaking, he looked up at you. Is the baby okay? You knelt beside him, placing a hand gently over his. Stronger than either of us, you said softly, and more protected than any being has ever been. He nodded, trusting you completely. The invasion begins. The Void Shepherd Armada came next. Not thousands, millions, living constructs, reality eaters, silencers. They tore through outer defense rings like mist. Allied fleets fell back, planets evacuated, the Harbinger advanced straight towards Sanctuary, and that was when you activated your final protocol. Operation Hero Constellation. You opened a private channel to Earth, to UA, to Legends. Your voice carried across dimensions. All might. Class 1A. It's time. The mech suits, planet-level weapons. Hidden beneath UA, beneath reality itself, were your greatest secret creations, built over years. Not weapons. Guardians. Each student received a suit tailored to their quirk. Deku, Constellation Alpha, a green-lit titan capable of amplifying one for all to planetary scale. Bakugo, Nova Breaker, explosive propulsion engines that could crack moons. Todoroki. Dual-star frame, thermal reactors capable of freezing supernovas and igniting suns. Uraraka, zero-field angel, gravity nullifier wings allowing her to lift continents. Ida, Lightspeed Lancer, engines that bent time with acceleration alone, and at the center, one final suit, not new, not young, but legendary. All Might, one last time, All Might stood inside the largest frame ever built, gold, white, shaped like a living fortress, name etched across its chest. Symbol eternal. He smiled inside the cockpit. Well, he laughed softly, looks like I get one more. The Battle of Sanctuary Prime. When the Void Shepherd Armada arrived, they expected gods. They found heroes. Class 1A charged first. Planets shook. Bakugo detonated 3 dread constructs in one blast. Todoroki froze an entire invasion corridor. Uraraka lifted an enemy battlesphere the size of a continent and threw it into a collapsing star. Deku led the charge. Calm, focused, unstoppable. All Might followed behind them like a rising sun, punch by punch, world by world, refusing to fall. The Harbinger versus you. At last, you faced it. The Harbinger descended personally. Reality failed around it. Your sovereign domain strained. This ends now, you said quietly. The clash was not loud. It was fundamental. Laws shattered, dimensions folded. It struck you, once, twice, you held. But it was winning, slowly, relentlessly. Izuku feels it back in Sanctuary. Izuku collapsed, clutching his stomach. The child pulsed violently. He's fighting, alone. The doctor shouted warnings. The baby's power spiked again. And then, Izuku stood, eyes glowing faint green. No, he whispered. He's not alone. The turning point. Heroes arrive. A portal tore open behind the Harbinger. All Might burst through first, then Class 1A. 20 planetary titans surrounding a cosmic god. All Might pointed forward. Students, he said proudly, let's save the universe. They attacked together. Power unlike anything ever recorded. The Harbinger staggered. For the first time, it was pushed back. The final moment, you gathered everything. Not rage, not wrath. Love, for Izuku, for your child, for these heroes. For existence itself, you spoke one sentence. This future is protected. And erased the Harbinger from causality, not destroyed. Never allowed to have existed. Reactions. The multiverse breaks into relief silence. Then, cheers across planets. Heroes collapsing in exhaustion, allied species singing, empires bowing, Earth crying, children screaming, open quote, the heroes won, close quote. All Might powered down slowly, smiled, that was fun. Back at Sanctuary, you returned to Izuku's side, alive, breathing. He grabbed your hand instantly. You came back, he whispered. Always, you replied. The baby kicked softly, the universe stabilized. What history wrote. Across every reality, one truth entered record, open quote, when the void came for hope, kings stood, heroes rose, and a child not yet born saved existence. 26. When the sky called for a king, narrator voice, deep, calm, reverent, like the universe itself is telling this story. 1 month. 1 month since the war that nearly ended everything. 1 month since the Harbinger fell. 1 month since the multiverse learned what heroes could become. And finally, peace had returned. Earth, a city where a king once stood. You had chosen to remain on Earth for a while. Not as a ruler, not as a god, but as a guardian. The city built around your temporary residence had grown quietly, towers of glass and steel rising where your presence stabilized the land itself. Children played in parks beneath skies that had once torn open. Heroes trained again. Life continued. And on this evening, you stood on a balcony overlooking the city, thinking of war, of Izuku, of the child growing safely in Sanctuary Prime, of whether the universe would ever truly stop testing you. The sky tears. It happened without warning. No alarm, no tremor, no signal. The sky split. Not like lightning, not like portals. The very fabric of blue daylight folded open like paper. Reality screamed, people froze, cars stopped, birds fell silent midair. Heroes looked up in terror, and from the wound in the heavens, 3 figures descended. The arrival of legends. First came a man in orange, smiling, relaxed, eyes sharp with endless battle, Son Goku. Next, a man in dark armor, arms crossed, pride radiating like fire, Vegeta, Prince of Saiyans, and finally, floating behind them, small, calm, terrifying. Purple skin, golden eyes, staff glowing softly, the god of destruction himself, Lord Beerus. The city panicked. Heroes launched into the air, Class 1A scrambled to defensive positions. All Might, watching from afar, whispered one word, gods. They were not looking at Earth, they were looking at you. Every single one of them. Goku's eyes widened. Vegeta's posture stiffened. Beerus smiled. Beerus speaks. The god of destruction floated closer, inspecting you like one inspects a star. So, Beerus said lazily, you're the one holding this side of the multiverse together. Silence fell across the city. People watched a god speak to their king. Goku grinned. Wow, you're strong, he said cheerfully. Like, really strong. Vegeta narrowed his eyes. That pressure, he's not using ki. The request, Beerus raised his staff gently. We require your participation, he said calmly, in an event called... A pause, a smile, the Tournament of Power. The words echoed across dimensions. Reactions. Everyone panics. Earth governments went into emergency mode. Scientists screamed. News anchors froze mid-sentence. Open quote, Did a god just ask our king to fight for another universe? Close quote. Children cried. Heroes clenched fists. All Might whispered, another war. Allied planets. The Astral Commonwealth erupted. Emergency councils summoned instantly. Ancient species shouted in horror, open quote, "The boundary cannot be risked in mortal combat," close quote, open quote, "If he falls, reality collapses," close quote. Entire civilizations began preparing contingency plans for the possibility that you might die. Izuku, far away, in sanctuary. Izuku felt it instantly. The pull, the shift, the danger. He sat up in bed, hand over his stomach. No. Doctors rushed in. What's wrong? He looked at the stars through the window. They're asking him to leave. The unborn child pulsed softly, protectively. Your response, reluctance. You did not transform. You did not threaten. You simply asked quietly, "What happens if I refuse?" Beerus's eyes sharpened. Your universe, he said simply, may not survive the next erasure cycle. Goku scratched his head. Yeah, sorry, he added awkwardly, but your universe needs strong fighters. Vegeta spoke low. This tournament decides which universes continue to exist. Silence. The meaning settled. You closed your eyes, not in fear, in exhaustion. I just ended one war, you said softly. My family almost died. Beerus nodded. And now the multiverse asks you to protect it again. The decision. The city waited. The heroes waited. The gods waited. The multiverse waited. You exhaled slowly. Fine. Gasps erupted across Earth. Goku cheered. Yes! This is going to be awesome! Vegeta smirked. Interesting. Beerus smiled in satisfaction. Prepare yourself, he said. You will train with us. For weeks, you vanished from Earth. Training took place in realms beyond time. Goku sparred you, and for the first time in his life, was thrown through 3 dimensions. Vegeta pushed you to limits no one had ever reached. Beerus personally tested you, not with power, but with destruction itself. And slowly, something changed. Your gravity began to resemble divinity. Watching a king become a god. Class 1A, they watched recordings in silence. Bakugo whispered, "He's training with monsters." Deku's friends clenched their fists. He better come back. All Might bowed toward the stars. Protect everyone. One more time. The multiverse. Ancient beings recorded in fear. Open quote. The boundary has entered a god's war. Close quote. The final scene. At the edge of Beerus's world, you stood in silence. Goku laughed nearby. Vegeta meditated. Beerus sipped tea. And in the distance, an arena began to form, a stage where universes would rise or be erased. You whispered to yourself, "Hold on, Izuku." The unborn child pulsed, the stars trembled, and fate prepared to test you again. To be continued. If you want, Hasher Chapter 27. When a king entered the arena of gods, deep, echoing as if spoken from inside eternity itself, the multiverse gathered, not for celebration, not for war, but for judgment. The world of void, the arena for existence beyond time, beyond space, beyond even the concept of direction, the Tournament of Power arena hovered in the world of void, a massive ring of indestructible stone floating in endless darkness. Above it, rows upon rows of divine thrones. Seats for gods of destruction, supreme kais, angels, omni-king attendants. And in the highest balcony, 2 small figures sat happily in their legs, the twin rulers of everything. Zeno, the broadcast begins. Earth watches. On Earth, every screen turned on at once. Phones, billboards, TVs, hero headquarters, hospitals, space stations, classrooms. A single message appeared in every language. Open quote, multiversal emergency broadcast, Tournament of Power, close quote. The image formed, an arena surrounded by gods, and in the corner, a familiar group. Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, and one more figure. Earth freezes. A city went silent. A planet stopped breathing. Clash Class 1A. They stood packed into the common room. Kirishima whispered, "That's space." Uraraka covered her mouth. "That's really him." Bakugo clenched his fists. "Idiot king better not die." All Might stood alone in the dark of his office, watching, hands shaking slightly. "You carry more weight than I ever did." Izuku's Sanctuary Prime. Izuku lay in a medical chamber, surrounded by soft light, the broadcast reflected in his eyes. And then you appeared, walking calmly beside Beerus, alive, uninjured, strong, tears rolled down his cheeks. He made it. The unborn child pulsed gently, almost happy. Half the gates open. At the edge of the arena, reality bent, not tore, not shattered. It simply moved aside, a path formed through nothingness, and through it, you walked. No crown, no armor, no dragon form. Just a long coat flowing softly, hands relaxed at your sides. Gravity itself bowed with every step. The gods react. The moment you entered, the arena changed, not visually, existentially. God of Destruction, Universe 9, he stood abruptly. That pressure, that isn't ki. His angel whispered, that is not divine energy. That is law. God of Destruction, Universe 6, Champa choked on his food. Hey, Beerus, what did you bring? Beerus smirked. A solution. Supreme Kai of Universe 2. She pressed her hands together in prayer. He feels like creation itself. Angels. The angels did not speak, but for the first time, several of them opened their eyes fully, watching you. Carefully. The greatest reaction, Zeno. The twin Omni Kings leaned forward, eyes wide, excited. Ooh, one feels funny. He's shiny inside. Grand Priest stiffened. He turned slowly toward Beerus. Explain. Beerus bowed slightly. He is called the Boundary King, Beerus said. Ruler of a multiversal empire, stabilizer of several realities. The Grand Priest's eyes widened. You brought a pillar of existence into a survival tournament? Beerus smiled. He accepted willingly. The universal broadcast, everyone watched you. Across countless universes, billions of worlds saw your face. Ancient empires, elders fell to their knees. That's him, the one who conquered the Null, the Dragon King. Machine civilizations, threat levels recalculated endlessly. Open quote. Error, power cannot be measured. Close quote. Star beings, choirs sang. The stabilizer walks among mortals. Earth's reaction. Panic, pride, and awe. News anchors shouted, he's really there, that's our king. Scientists screamed, why are gods staring at him like that? Children pointed at screens. Mom, that's the Dragon Man. Heroes stood in silence. Not fear, pride. Izuku, quiet moment. Izuku whispered to the screen, please come back. His hand rested over his stomach. The child pulsed again, and for just a moment, the broadcast flickered, and you turned your head directly toward the camera, toward Earth, toward him. Your lips moved, no sound, but Izuku understood. I'm here. The announcement. The Grand Priest floated above the arena. Warriors of all universes. Before the Tournament of Power begins, a special participant has joined. He gestured toward you. Gasps echoed. This being represents not only a universe, but a stabilizing axis of multiple realities. Murmurs exploded. A king, a god, a pillar. The Grand Priest continued. He fights not for glory, but for the survival of all he protects. Your moment. You stepped forward. No pose, no power, just calm. You bowed slightly, not to the gods, not to Zeno, but to the arena, to existence, to everyone watching. And softly you said, let's get this over with so I can go home. Earth erupts. Cheers, crying, prayers. Izuku smiled through tears. All Might whispered, that's my hero. Class 1A shouted, come back alive. Across the multiverse, for the first time in history, every universe agreed on one thing. Open quote. The tournament had just become something far more dangerous and far more hopeful. Close quote. To be continued. Whenever you're... The silent conspiracy, slow, heavy with suspense. The arena trembled, not from power, from destiny. The Grand Priest raises his hand above the stone ring. The Grand Priest floated forward. His voice echoed through every universe. Warriors of the multiverse, prepare yourselves. The gods fell silent. The angels folded their wings. Every fighter straightened, and across all realities, every screen glowed brighter. Earth, holding its breath. Class 1A leaned forward as one. Uraraka whispered, it's starting. All Might clenched both fists. Protect everyone. Izuku pressed his hand to the glass, tears in his eyes. Please be careful. The child inside him pulsed softly, as if whispering, come back. The announcement. The Grand Priest declared, the Tournament of Power begins now. A bell rang. Not loud, not dramatic, but its sound traveled across infinity, and the war for existence officially started. You step onto the arena. You moved calmly onto the battlefield. Stone formed beneath your feet automatically, stabilizing itself around your gravity. The arena subtly reshaped, as if afraid to break under you. Across from you, fighters took their positions. Some stared at you in fear, some in awe, some in hatred. But two teams did not look at the arena. They looked only at you. The 24. From Universe 14, 12 warriors shifted their stance. From Universe 18, 12 more mirrored them. No signals, no words. Perfect synchronization. They spread out naturally, too naturally. Not attacking, not defending, positioning, forming a wide, invisible circle around you. So subtle, Not even the gods noticed. Angel sensed something wrong. Whis tilted his head slightly. Curious. One angel whispered to another, "Why are those two universes moving together?" The Grand Priest's eyes narrowed, just a fraction, but the signal was lost in the noise of battle beginning everywhere else. Reactions. Everyone watching you. Class 1A, Todoroki whispered, "Why are they surrounding him?" Bakugo growled, "They better not be planning something." All Might's breath hitched. That formation, that's not coincidence. Izuku felt it. A pressure. Not danger. Intent. His heart raced. Something's wrong. The baby pulsed sharply. Once. Twice. Warning. You feel it too. Not an attack. Not yet. But a disturbance, like gravity being quietly measured, tested, mapped. You glanced slowly around the arena. Your eyes met one of the 24. He looked away instantly. You frowned. Just slightly. The conspiracy begins to move. High above, the two gods of destruction exchanged another glance. One whispered, "Positions confirmed." The other replied, "Begin phase 1. Their angels stiffened. "What are you?" But they were too late. The fighters had already finished surrounding you. Hidden seals activated, invisible to cameras, invisible to gods, invisible to everyone except one being. You, for the first time since arriving, your expression changed. Not fear, not anger, recognition. Your eyes narrowed. So that's how you're going to try. Final moment. The tournament erupted around you. Explosions, energy, fighters clashing, universes screaming. But at the very center of the arena, where you stood calmly, the air began to feel heavy. Not from gravity. From something being prepared. Something forbidden. Something meant only for you. And far away, in two desperate universes, a weapon that should not exist was quietly being assembled. To be continued. Chapter 29. When the tournament finally moved, the voice deep, fast, and slow in waves like war itself beginning to breathe. The bell had rung, and the universe exploded. The tournament of power begins. In the first heartbeat, nothing happened. In the second, everything happened at once. Energy tore through the arena. Dozens of fighters launched forward, screaming. Beams of light crossed the sky. Shockwaves shattered stone. Entire sections of the arena collapsed instantly. Universes began fighting for their lives. Earth, panic and awe. On Earth, every screen shook. News anchors, it started. They're all fighting. Wait, that explosion just erased a mountain. Class 1A, they screamed together. Whoa! That's insane. They're flying. Bakugo slammed the couch. Yes, destroy them. But then they looked back to the center of the screen. To you. You, calm in the storm, while chaos erupted everywhere, you did not rush, did not power up, did not move. You simply walked forward. Slow, calm. As fighters flew past you screaming, blasts exploded inches away from your face and curved, not touching you. The arena floor reshaped itself under every step. Gravity bowed politely. Reactions. Why is he not moving? Beerus leaned forward hard. He's not even defending. Whis smiled faintly. No, he doesn't need to. Gods of destruction, multiple gods shouted. Why is that fighter just walking? Is he confused? No, look, the attacks are missing him. Grand Priest. The Grand Priest's eyes followed only you. Interesting. First fighters charge you. 3 warriors from Universe 7 didn't recognize you. They saw only a calm man walking through fire. Hey, easy target. They attacked together. A beam, a blade, a shockwave. You move. Once, you raised one finger. Not fast, not dramatic, just up. The world stopped, not time. Momentum, the beam froze in midair. The blade halted inches from your neck. The shockwave folded inward and collapsed harmlessly into dust. The 3 fighters blinked, confused. You gently tapped the air. Gravity shifted. All 3 were lifted and placed gently outside the arena ring. Eliminated. Without pain, without damage, without even understanding what happened. The arena goes silent for half a second. Half a second. That's all it took. For every god, every angel, every fighter, every universe to stare. Earth erupt. Class 1A, did you see that? He didn't even touch them. Uraraka screamed. That was so cool. Todoroki whispered in shock. He didn't fight. He rewrote the battlefield. All Might collapsed into a chair. Tears in his eyes. That's beyond a hero. Izuku laughed through tears. That's him. The baby pulsed excitedly. Monitors beeped wildly. Doctors panicked. The baby's energy just spiked. Izuku smiled. He's watching his father. The fighters begin to fear you. Across the arena, whispers spread. That's him. The one the gods were talking about. He didn't even transform. Don't go near him. Entire teams changed direction, avoided you, ran from you. Some fighters eliminated each other, just to avoid being anywhere close to you. The 24 silent and patient, and yet, while chaos filled the arena, those from Universe 14 and Universe 18 did not fight, did not move much. They battled others only enough to survive, and slowly, quietly, they adjusted their positions, closing the invisible circle around you, measuring, synchronizing, waiting. Angels begin to sense it. Whis frowned. Strange. Another angel whispered, those two universes. They're not fighting seriously. The Grand Priest narrowed his eyes. They're planning something. Shh, you feel it deeper. As you calmly removed another opponent without harm, a pressure brushed against your senses. Not an attack, not danger, but a calculation. A targeting system. You stopped walking, just for a moment, looked slowly around the arena. Your gaze passed over several fighters, and when your eyes met one of the 24, his face went pale. Sweat ran down his neck. He looked away. You whispered quietly, "You're going to regret that." Final scene. The tournament raged. Universes clashed, gods shouted, Earth screamed, and in the center of everything, while battle thundered across infinity, a trap, hundreds of years in the making, was silently locking into place. The war had begun, but the real battle had not. To be continued. Chapter 30. The king who stood in front of oblivion, deep, thunderous, filled with awe. The tournament burned. The arena was no longer a battlefield. It was a collapsing universe. Explosions carved valleys into indestructible stone. Entire teams vanished in flashes of light. Gods shouted. Angels calculated endlessly. And at the center of it all, you continued moving calmly, watching, waiting. Still aware of the 24, but not enough. Because something else suddenly screamed. The danger, a teammate in death's path. Across the arena, a warrior from Beerus's universe, your teammate was in trouble, surrounded, bleeding, kneeling. Above him, 3 fighters from another universe raised their hands. Their palms glowed. Black gold energy spiraled. Angels gasped. That's planetary-class destruction beams. 3 at once. The fighters shouted together, "Erase him!" The beams fired. Not blasts. Annihilation rays. Power designed to shatter planets, to burn atmospheres, to end civilizations. They raced toward your teammate. He closed his eyes, accepting death. You move, not as a king, as a guardian. And then, the arena bent. Not broke. Moved. You disappeared, not by speed, not by teleportation, by gravity folding space itself. In less than a heartbeat, you were there, standing directly between your teammate and oblivion. You do not block, no stance, no shield, no aura, no dragon form. You didn't even raise your hands. You simply stood there, calm, straight, eyes forward. The first beam hits, the first destruction beam slammed into your chest. The arena detonated, shockwaves tore outward, stone vaporized. God stood up screaming, Earth's broadcast cut out for half a second, and when the light faded, you were still standing, not burned, not bleeding, not scratched. The beam had vanished, as if absorbed by reality itself. Reactions. Total panic. Beerus. Beerus leapt to his feet. What? Whiss's eyes went wide. He didn't even flinch. Grand Priest. For the first time, the Grand Priest's breath hitched. Impossible. Gods of destruction. Multiple gods shouted at once. That was a planet killer. He didn't defend. He didn't even use energy. The second beam. The attackers screamed in terror. Again, full power. The second beam fired. Stronger. Wider. Enough to erase moons. It struck you square in the shoulder. The explosion blinded half the arena. Reality screamed. Energy storms raged, and when it cleared, you were still there, coat slightly fluttering, hair barely moved. You looked down at your shoulder. No mark, no heat, nothing. Absolute chaos. News just took a planet-destroying attack. Is he even mortal? Why is he not dead? Class 1A, they were screaming. Uraraka cried. He didn't move. He didn't move. Todoroki whispered in horror. That would have killed everyone. Bakugo slammed the floor. That's my king. That's what a monster looks like. All Might was shaking, tears streaming down his face. He protected without hesitation. That's true heroism. Izuku screamed. No, stop. His heart nearly failed. Monitors went wild. Doctors shouted, the baby's power is spiking. And then Izuku saw it. You, still standing, alive, unharmed. He collapsed into tears. Thank God. The unborn child glowed brightly. Proud. The third beam, desperation. The attackers were losing their minds. He's not dying. Use everything. All three combined their power. A final beam formed. Bigger, darker, cracking with red lightning. Angels screamed, that one can destroy a solar system. Stop. Too late. They fired. You take it head on, the beam engulfed you completely. The explosion was so massive. The entire arena tilted. Gods shielded their eyes. Several fighters were blown off the platform. Earth's broadcast went black for 3 full seconds. Silence. Fear. Screaming. When the light finally fades, smoke drifted, stone melted, reality stabilized, and in the center of a massive crater, you were still standing, not kneeling, not breathing hard, standing, completely fine. Your coat slightly torn at the edge. That was all. Reactions. Legends are born. Angels. Multiple angels whispered at once. He just tanked. Solar system class annihilation. Without defense. With odds of destruction. One god collapsed into his throne. That's not durability. That's law immunity. Another whispered in fear. We cannot kill him. Fighters. Entire teams froze, dropped their weapons, backed away slowly. Whispers filled the arena. Don't attack him. He's invincible. That's not a fighter. That's a shield for universes. Your moment. Quiet and gentle. You finally turned, looked at your terrified teammate behind you. He stared at you like you were a god. Are you okay? You smiled softly. Of course. Then you placed one hand gently on his shoulder. Stay behind me for a bit. You turned to the attackers. The 3 fighters were shaking, sweating, crying. You did not look angry, not even serious, just calm. Are you done? They screamed and ran, jumped off the arena, eliminated themselves. Final reactions. The multiverse decides. Across countless worlds, people stood in silence. Children whispered your name, kings bowed, gods trembled, and one truth spread everywhere. Open quote, the Boundary King does not need to attack, because even oblivion cannot harm him, close quote. Narrative voice soft. And far away, among the silent 24, several of them began to sweat. Because for the first time, they understood. Whatever weapon they were building, it might not be enough. To be continued. Oh my God, this... Chapter 31, The Day the King Fell. Slow, trembling as if the universe itself is afraid to speak. The tournament had not slowed. It had only grown louder. Explosions tore the arena apart. Universes vanished in flashes of light. Fighters screamed, gods shouted. And in the center of the battlefield, you stood, still calm, still watching, still aware of the 24. The trap finally springs, without warning. The 24 stopped fighting, all at once. Perfect synchronization. They turned, every single one of them, toward you. Angels scream first. Wiz's eyes widened in horror. No, another angel shouted. They're activating it. Stop them. Beerus stood up so fast his throne cracked. What did you idiots do? The weapon appears above the arena, space folded, not tore, folded inward like a collapsing star. A strange construct emerged. Not energy, not matter, not divine. Something. From outside the multiverse, the gods went pale. Grand Priest whispered, the Grand Priest with that weapon does not erase bodies. It erases authority. Your power is taken. The weapon fired. A thin, silent beam of colorless light. It struck your chest. No explosion. No sound. No damage. Nothing happened. For half a second. And then you blinked. Staggered. Your breath hitched. Gravity around you, the arena shook violently. Angels screamed. His field disappeared. The law aura is gone. Beerus roared. They stripped his stabilizer power. Reactions. Pure panic. Gods of destruction. One god fell to his knees. They removed his right to command reality. Another screamed, that was impossible. Earth. The broadcast went wild. Class 1A, Uraraka screamed, why did he fall? Todoroki whispered in terror. His gravity, it's gone. Bakugo shook violently. No, 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 no. All Might. All Might stood frozen. They took his power. They made him mortal. Izuku screamed his name. Monitors exploded into alarms. The baby is panicking. He grabbed his stomach. No, please. Second strike. The king bleeds. The 24 shouted together. Again, full execution mode. The weapon fired a second time. This beam was different, heavier, angrier. It struck you directly, and this time your body could not endure it. You were thrown backward violently. Your form hit the stone hard. Shockwaves tore the arena, and for the first time, the multiverse saw it. You were injured, badly. Your arms and legs no longer moved properly. Your body was torn, broken, barely holding together. Stone beneath you cracked red. Goku screamed, "No, no way, no." He ran forward. "Stop, stop it." Beerus roared, "End this now." Legends in tears. Goku's hands were shaking. He was invincible. Why is he bleeding? Tears filled his eyes. He saved everyone. Gods and angels were shouting, "This violates all laws. Stop the tournament. The stabilizer is dying." Earth. The planet was screaming, children crying, heroes collapsing, entire cities praying. Izuku collapsed to the floor, sobbing, hands shaking. "Please, please don't die." The unborn child glowed violently. Energy surged through the room. Doctors were screaming. The baby's power is reacting. Third strike. The end of a king. The 24 were terrified now, but desperate. Finish him before he recovers. The weapon fired. One final time. The beam struck, and this time, there was no explosion, no scream, no resistance, just silence. When the light faded, you were no longer moving. Your body lay still, eyes closed, power gone, breath gone. The multiverse stops. No one spoke, no one moved. Not a god, not an angel, not a fighter. Goku fell to his knees, screaming, "No, no, no." Tears streamed down his face. He can't be dead, he can't. Beerus was shaking. They killed a pillar. The Grand Priest stared in horror. "This will collapse everything." Earth. The broadcast showed your still form, and the world broke. All Might screamed. Class 1A collapsed crying. Millions shouted your name. Izuku screamed until his voice vanished. He clutched his stomach. "Come back, please." The unborn child screamed, not crying, calling. Somewhere, far beyond everything. Not in the multiverse, not in time, not in existence. In a place beyond infinity, beyond gods, beyond laws, something opened its eyes. A presence that had watched you since before reality was born. And when it felt your death, the entire unknown infinity shook. A voice echoed across dimensions, not loud, not angry, but so full of wrath that creation itself began to crack. Open quote, "Who dared to kill my child?" Close quote. Stars collapsed, realities trembled, gods screamed in terror. Angels fell to their knees. Narrator voice whispering, trembling with awe and fear. The king was dead, but something far worse had just awakened. Oh my god, this is legendary. The last song of a king. Slow, trembling, like the universe itself is crying. The third beam struck. Silence followed. Not the silence of peace, the silence of something sacred ending. Your body fell, still, unmoving. The arena froze. Time itself seemed afraid to continue. The multiverse realizes angels screamed. Gods stood shaking. Fighters dropped to their knees. Earth's broadcast showed your lifeless form. And across all realities, a single truth spread like fire. The Boundary King was dead. Izuku screamed, a sound so broken. Doctors ran. Machines wailed. He clutched his stomach. "No, please, come back." Tears streamed endlessly. The unborn child glowed violently, not crying, calling, "Goku." Goku collapsed beside the arena edge, hands shaking, tears falling freely. "You can't. You promised you'd go home." Beerus stood frozen, tail trembling. They killed someone even we feared. The Grand Priest, for the first time, the Grand Priest whispered in fear, "This should not have been possible." And then, something happened, something no one expected. From your still body, a sound, soft, fragile, familiar. At first, they thought they were imagining it, but then the microphones caught it. The broadcast carried it across Earth, across universes, across infinity. You were singing, not loud, not strong, barely a whisper, but gentle, warm, a melody from Earth. Holly Holly, not the words, just the tune, the soft, flowing melody of Holly Holly, the song you loved. The song about slow love, about patience, about gentle hearts. Reactions, the universe breaks. Earth, the world collapsed. News anchors burst into tears on live broadcast. Children stopped crying and listened. Millions recognized the song. Parents whispered, "He's singing, he's comforting us." Entire cities fell silent. People held hands, prayed, cried, and listened. Class 1A Uraraka covered her mouth, sobbing. He's singing for us. Todoroki's tears fell onto the floor. Even now, he's protecting everyone. Bakugo was shaking violently. Idiot, why are you still being kind? All Might collapsed fully to his knees, hands covering his face. Even in death, he chooses to comfort. That is the greatest hero I've ever seen. Goku's eyes went wide. He's not afraid. He sobbed openly. He's telling us it's okay. Gods of destruction. Several gods were crying. One whispered, "No being this kind should ever have died." Another said in horror, "He's easing the pain of the multiverse." With his last breath, angels bowed their heads. One whispered, "This song is stabilizing emotions across dimensions. He's calming billions while dying." Izuku, the last connection. Izuku suddenly froze, because he heard it, not through speakers, not through machines, but inside his heart, inside the child. The melody echoed gently in the room. The baby glowed warmly, soft, peaceful, not panicked anymore. Izuku whispered through sobs, "You're singing to our child. You're saying goodbye. Your final moment." Your voice weakened. The melody slowed, softer, until it almost vanished. And with your final breath, your lips curved just a little, a peaceful smile, as if you were saying, "Don't cry, Hale, slowly, everything will be okay." The universe realizes when the song stopped, that was when they knew. Not when you were hit, not when you fell, but when the melody ended. Somewhere, beyond all infinity, in a place beyond gods, beyond laws, beyond even Zeno, something heard the song. And when it felt that melody fade, the entire unknown infinity screamed. A voice older than creation echoed across impossible dimensions, shaking all realities, breaking sealed heavens, making angels fall, making gods beg. Open quote, "He sang, while they killed him, I will unmake everything." Close quote. Stars collapsed, realities cracked, time froze, and wrath, unlike anything that had ever existed. To be continued. I swear this scene is one of the most emotional things we've written. Chapter 32, when Vishnu himself answered a king, narrator voice deep, trembling, as if the Vedas themselves are being spoken. The song ended, the melody faded, and the universe finally accepted it. The Boundary King was dead. The multiverse falls into grief. The arena did not move. No fighter attacked, no god spoke, no angel breathed. Your body lay still at the center of the shattered stone. Power gone, life gone, hope gone. Izuku collapsed fully. His scream broke glass, broke machines, broke hearts. "Please, please don't leave me." The unborn child screamed inside him, not crying, calling for something older than creation. Earth, a planet mourns. In India, temples rang bells by themselves. Priests fell to their knees. Old scriptures began glowing. Across villages, cities, rivers, people whispered one name, Vishnu. In Hindu homes, mothers clutched their children. "Please, protect him." He protected the universe. And then, the unthinkable. The air above your body did not tear, did not open, did not break. Reality itself bowed. Light descended, not bright, not blinding, soft, golden, endless. And from that impossible glow, a presence stepped forward. The descent of Vishnu. 4 arms, blue skin, eyes deeper than eternity, the Sudarshan chakra spinning slowly behind him, garland of stars around his neck. The universe recognized him. Angels fell flat. Gods collapsed from their thrones. The grand priest trembled. Zeno froze. Beerus whispered in pure terror, "Vishnu." Across all infinities, every scripture ignited, every prayer answered, every temple bell rang. Reactions, India and Hindus. In India, the broadcast showed him, and the nation collapsed. Temples, priests screamed, "Narayan has descended." People fell to the ground crying, hands folded, foreheads touching earth. "Vishnu Bhagwan has come." News, India, anchors sobbed live. That is Lord Vishnu, he has come for our king." Entire cities lit diyas without being told. Millions chanted, "Om Namo." Hindus across the world, people screamed, cried, collapsed. This is real. Our God came for him. He loved the king so much. Stands beside your body. Vishnu knelt, gently, like a father. He placed one hand over your heart. The universe stopped breathing, and softly he spoke. Open quote. "Where there is love, there is life, and there am I." Close quote. Izuku hears him. The words echoed inside Izuku's soul. The baby glowed golden. Peace replaced terror. Izuku whispered through tears. Thank you. The resurrection. Vishnu raised one hand. The Sudarshan chakra slowed. Light poured into your body. And reality exploded into creation. Not destruction, not chaos. A new universe was born. Stars ignited, galaxies formed, time began ticking again, and from the center of that newborn cosmos, your heart beat. Rebirth of a king. Your eyes opened. Gold, silver, cosmic. Your body rose slowly into the air. Whole, perfect, alive. But changed. Vishnu placed his palm on your forehead. Your duty is not finished. You have loved and protected and suffered. For that, he smiled gently, I give you one of my own forms. The Narasimha Mahavatar light engulfed you. Your form shifted. Bones reshaped, power roared. Half man, half lion, golden mane burning like suns. Claws carved from law itself. Eyes glowing with divine justice. Angels screamed, the Narasimha Avatar. Gods fell unconscious. Beerus collapsed shaking. That is divine wrath. Avatar shift. The king of two forms, you roared, the sound shook infinities. Then you shifted again, dragon form, then back. Dragon, Narasimha. Two auras, two destinies, two embodiments of protection. Vishnu spoke proudly, this is your avatar shift. Dragon, for balance. Narasimha, for justice. The truth of the weapon. The black-purple mist erupted around the 24. They screamed, energy leaked, a Lean reality formed, and from it, a presence emerged. So dark, so vast, that multiple infinities trembled. Angels screamed, the cost! They released him, the Demon King, ruler of broken infinities. You stand, not as a hero, you turned. Eyes burning gold, voice calm, deep, kingly. I am not here as a warrior, not as a god, not as revenge. You looked at the terrified 24 and at the Demon King rising. I am here, as a king, and as a protector. Vishnu beside you. Vishnu placed his conch to his lips. One thing, my child, this is not my infinity. I cannot remain long. But remember, he smiled, I am still God. Reactions. The universe bows. Izuku was crying and laughing. You're back. You're a god. The baby pulsed joyfully. Class 1A. They were screaming and crying. He's alive. He turned into a lion god. That's our king. All Might bowed fully to the screen. I am unworthy to witness this. Empires, entire civilizations knelt. The stabilizer has become divine. Villains, even villains, were shaking. We fought that? India and Hindus. India became silent, not screaming, not crying, just millions whispering. Vishnu chose him. He is blessed. He is protected by Narayana himself. Final moment. You stepped forward. Narasimha aura blazing, dragon shadow behind you, Vishnu beside you, the Demon King rising, the 24 screaming, and the multiverse finally understanding. Narrator voice shaking. They did not kill a king. They did not kill a hero. They awakened a divine protector of infinities. To be continued. This was God tier. 33. The king, the god, and the judgment of infinities. Deep, reverent, as if the universe itself is telling the story. The arena no longer existed. Stone had melted into stardust. Space twisted. Time bent away in fear. At the center of it all stood three forces. The Demon King, rising from the in reality, the 24 beings shaking inside their black-purple mist, and you. Dragon shadow coiled behind you, golden Narasimha light burning around you, eyes calm, not furious, not wild. Vishnu speaks before the war. Vishnu lifted one hand, the multiverse quieted instantly, even the Demon King froze. My child, you were born human, you chose love, you chose protection. And because of that, you were chosen. He turned toward the rising Demon King, his voice gentle, but infinite. This being is not evil by birth, but he chose to rule through fear, and the 24, they chose power over balance. Vishnu looked at you, soft smile. But remember, justice without mercy destroys the protector as well. You bowed your head slightly. I will judge them as a king, not as a monster. Arc 1, you and Vishnu as the Demon King. The Demon King finally roared, a sound that shattered several distant universes. Dark crowns formed around his head, energy thicker than galaxies poured from his body. I ruled infinities before your gods were born. You stepped forward, one hand raised, dragon aura surged, Narasimha light flared. And I rule something greater. You and Vishnu moved together, not attacking, correcting reality. Vishnu's Sudarshan chakra spun. You roared, not in rage, but command. Golden symbols formed around the Demon King. Chains of law, chains of balance, chains of consequence. The Demon King screamed, not in pain, in realization. This power, this is not destruction. You spoke calmly. This is protection. With one final gesture, the Demon King was not killed, not erased. He was sealed beyond time, in a prison made of pure balance, where he could never harm another infinity again. The Le in reality closed, the multiverse stabilized, and silence returned. Arc 2, The Judgment of the 24. The mist faded. The 24 beings fell to their knees, terrified, broken, crying, and saw you, not as Narasimha, not as dragon. As a king, wearing a crown of light. You walked slowly before them, hands behind your back, voice steady. You used a forbidden weapon. You endangered infinities. You killed me. And shattered the hearts of billions. One of them screamed. We were afraid. You raised one finger. Silence returned instantly. But you also brought my family into it. Your eyes flickered toward Earth, toward Izuku, toward your child. And for the first time, your voice carried controlled anger. That is unforgivable. You lifted your hand, not to kill, and pronounced, by the authority of the Boundary Throne, I strip you of empire, of power, of immortality. Golden light wrapped them. Crowns vanished. Energy disappeared. Forms weakened. You will live as mortals on peaceful worlds, remembering what you did, until the end of time. They vanished, not destroyed. Arc 3, Reunion with Izuku. Reality shifted. You returned to Earth, to the hospital room where Izuku sat, hands shaking, eyes red, holding his stomach. The door opened. He looked up and froze. You stepped inside. Your divine forms faded. You were human again. Smiling. Alive. Izuku ran. Didn't care about doctors. Didn't care about gods. He crashed into your arms crying. You died. I thought I lost you. You held him tightly, pressed your forehead to his. I promised I'd always come back. The baby glowed warmly, soft golden light filling the room. You placed your hand there gently. Hey, I'm here. Doctors were crying. Nurses were praying. Outside, the world watched. Arc 4, God, Zeno, and the heavens panic. Back in the tournament realm, chaos had begun. Gods were shouting, angels whispering, universes shaking. Beerus slammed his fist into the ground. That human just sealed a demon king. The Grand Priest stood pale. He now holds 2 divine transformations, one granted by Vishnu himself. Zeno floated silently, eyes wide, not playful, not smiling. He's not from our system, and he protects more than we rule. One god whispered in fear, what happens if he ever turns against us? The Grand Priest answered softly, then we pray he never has a reason to. Arc 5, your first full Avatar shift battle. Later, in deep space, a test world was created to measure your new power. Vishnu stood watching from afar. You inhaled slowly, closed your eyes. Dragon, then Narasimha, then both. Your body glowed with dual light, scales of starlight, golden mane of justice, wings and claws and crown together. This was not transformation. This was the true Avatar shift. You moved, not fast, not slow, and the test world did not explode. It was perfectly rewritten. Mountains reshaped, oceans calmed, storms ended. You had not destroyed, you had perfected. Vishnu smiled proudly, a protector who creates, not one who only destroys. Final reactions. The world. India and Hindus. India erupted into devotion. Temples overflowed. Priests declared he is blessed by Narayana himself. People placed your image beside Vishnu's, not as a god, but as the chosen protector. The globe nations bowed. Empires sent messages of loyalty. Earth declared a new title, the King of Boundaries, Protector of Realities. Heroes all might smiled with tears. You surpassed even legends. Class 1A screamed proudly, that's our king. Villains, even villains whispered in fear, we should never, ever. Final scene. That night, you stood on a balcony, stars above, Izuku beside you, hand in yours. He whispered, you're a god now. You smiled softly. No, I'm still just your king, your partner, and a father. Inside, your child glowed peacefully. Far away, Vishnu watched once more and whispered with pride, where there is love, there is life. And there am I. King, this was legendary. Chapter 34. The Child of Love and the Test of the King. Slow, warm, echoing with destiny. Peace had finally returned. For the first time since infinity shook. Since gods panicked. Since kings fell and demons were sealed, the universe was quiet. And inside a small hospital room on Earth, a miracle was about to be born. Arc 1. The Birth of the Divine Child. Night covered the city gently. Rain fell softly outside the windows. Inside, doctors whispered nervously. Machines glowed strangely, because the child inside Izuku was not ordinary. Golden symbols floated faintly in the air. Heartbeat echoed louder than normal. Not fast, not weak. Strong, steady, ancient. You stood beside the bed, holding Izuku's hand. Not as a king, not as a god. Just a partner, a future father. Izuku was breathing hard, but smiling through tears. You came back. You always come back. You leaned close, pressed your forehead to his, and I always will. Suddenly, the room filled with soft golden light. Not blinding, not violent. Gentle, warm, like sunrise. Doctors froze. Machines stopped beeping. Outside. The rain stopped falling. Across the world, people looked up, because the stars were glowing brighter. Earth reacts. In India, temple bells rang on their own. Priests gasped. A child is being born, blessed by Vishnu himself. In heaven realms, angels stood. He's not just a child, he's a convergence. In the god realms, Beerus whispered nervously, that kid is going to be a problem someday. The moment, Izuku cried out once more. Light surged. And then, a soft, tiny, perfect cry. The room fell silent. The doctor slowly lifted the child, not glowing violently, not surrounded by flames, just a small baby. Green curls, soft golden eyes, a faint mark on the chest, shaped like a tiny lotus and a dragon intertwined. You froze, breath caught, heart shaking. That's our. Izuku sobbed with joy. He's beautiful. You gently held your child for the first time, so small, so warm, so fragile. And yet, the universe itself felt steadier. Inside your mind, a familiar voice echoed softly. Vishnu, a child born from love, protected by balance. He will not rule. He will heal. Tears fell from your eyes. Not of fear, of happiness. World reaction. News spread instantly. India declared a sacred festival day. The child of the protector is born. People lit lamps across the nation. Heroes cried. Class 1A screamed happily. The king has a baby. All Might whispered proudly. The future is safe. Even villains, some smiled quietly. Maybe the world really is changing. 3 Dark 5 Zenes later, when peace had barely settled, reality stopped. Time froze, birds froze midair, heartbeats paused, stars stopped moving. Only you, Izuku, and your child could still move. And then, 2 small figures appeared, floating, smiling innocently. Zeno, the kings of everything. Izuku gasped softly. Zeno. You immediately stepped forward. Protective, calm. What do you want? Great king. Zeno tilted his head. Hi, you're fun. You broke a demon. You have 2 forms, and... He looked at the baby, eyes shining. That baby feels weird. The Grand Priest appeared behind them instantly, kneeling, sweating. Great Zeno. Please be gentle. Zeno floated closer to you. Not hostile, not playful. Curious. We want to test you. The entire multiverse felt that sentence. Gods screamed, angels panicked, universes trembled. Beerus fell to his knees. He's gonna test him. You did not move, did not kneel, did not threaten. You simply bowed your head respectfully. Very well, but not here. Not near my family. Zeno blinked, then smiled widely. Okay, good answer. With a snap, reality shifted. The test realm, you stood in an endless white space. No time, no matter, no laws. Zeno floated in front of you, the Grand Priest watching silently. This is not a fight test, Zeno said. We already know you're strong. He smiled innocently. This is a heart test. Suddenly, the space changed. You saw illusions. Illusion 1, Izuku dying again. Izuku appeared, bleeding, fading, reaching for you. Help me. Your power surged instantly, then stopped. You closed your eyes, breathing hard, and whispered, this is not real. And even if it were, I would protect, not destroy the universe in anger. The illusion vanished. Illusion 2, your child turning evil. Your child appeared grown, destroying worlds, laughing. Gods whispered in horror, now he'll snap. But you only knelt, tears falling, and said softly, then I would save him. Not kill him, because he is my son. The illusion shattered. Illusion 3, you as ruler of everything. You sat on a throne above all gods, universes bowing, Zeno kneeling, power unlimited, a temptation, beyond imagination. The Grand Priest watched breathless. Slowly, you stood, stepped away from the throne, and said calmly, I never wanted to rule. I only wanted to protect. The throne vanished. Zeno's verdict. Silence. Then Zeno clapped, happily. Yay, you passed. Gods collapsed in relief, angels cried, Beerus fainted. Zeno floated up to you, smiling brightly. You're not scary. You're nice. You can stay Protector King. The Grand Priest bowed deeply. In all of existence, you are the first being Zeno has ever trusted. Zeno looked at you seriously for once. If someday you ever need help, call us. And then, with a wave, they vanished. Final scene. Back on Earth, night had returned. Time flowed again. You stood beside Izuku, holding your child. Stars shining peacefully. Izuku whispered, You were tested by God and creation. And you still chose us. You smiled softly, kissed his forehead. Always. Far away. Vishnu watched, smiling, and whispered, A king who chooses love will never fall. To be continued. This arc was pure destiny. Chapter 35. The Era of Peace and the Universe Sports Weeks. Narrator voice, calm, proud, celebratory, with a touch of awe. 2 years had passed since the sealing of the Demon King. 2 years of quiet rebuilding. 2 years of stars stabilizing. 2 years where the multiverse finally learned to breathe. The King's Vision. You stood atop your palace balcony in India, overlooking the rivers, the mountains, the thriving cities of your empire. The air shimmered with your aura, not for war, not for protection, but as a promise. A thought struck you, a spark of inspiration. Why fight again when peace could be celebrated? Why not bring the multiverse together? Not in combat, but in sportsmanship, skill, and cooperation? You summoned the Grand Priest and Vishnu. I want a tournament, you said, not of war, not of annihilation, but of excellence. The strongest and smartest of every race, every universe, every civilization compete for resources, for growth, for honor. And the ultimate prize, your hand glowed, golden, a fragment of my power, enough to protect your planet when I cannot. Vishnu smiled, arms crossed. Even your power is being shared through love and duty. The Grand Priest bowed deeply. This is unprecedented, but worthy of a king. The universe reacts. Gods and angels, Whis floated in amazement. Your plan, it is a peacekeeping mechanism disguised as entertainment. Beerus muttered, tail twitching. Clever. I suppose they'll fight, but without dying. Zeno appeared briefly, clapping. Yay! Play games. Earth and the nations, governments, empires, and nations were flabbergasted. Leaders called you. The US, this is unprecedented diplomacy. China, a global multiversal initiative, we will participate. Russia, I never imagined negotiating with a god king in sports. European Union, we must send our best. India, of course, rejoiced. News outlets broadcasted your announcement live. The King of India has united the multiverse in peace. Universe Sports Weeks will allow civilizations to win resources without conflict. India's empire is flourishing under his rule, serving as the beacon of hope. India and Hindu world. Temples celebrated, scholars wrote, and children practiced skills in your honor. King Benedict, they whispered, you are not only our ruler, but the protector of the cosmos. The prosperity of India under your reign was unprecedented. Economy, GDP exploded beyond imagination. India controlled trade across multiple universes, especially exotic resources like rare minerals, elemental energy, and cosmic gems. Population increased significantly with urban cities thriving and villages upgraded with tech and magic enhancements. Science and magic. Universities combined quirk science, magic, and interstellar tech, producing innovations that stabilized ecosystems, cured diseases, and advanced energy production. Military. Minimal. Purely defensive, mostly elite peacekeeping forces, and planetary guardians powered by your gifted fragment technology. Culture. Festivals celebrated inter-universe exchanges, combining art, cuisine, and music from hundreds of species and races. India had become a shining multiversal hub of prosperity, culture, and power, respected and admired universally. Aliens and other civilizations. Other planets and universes reacted with awe. We are honored to compete for a fragment of the king's power. This is far better than war. The king is wise. He is a protector, not a conqueror, a god king who gives, not destroys. Villains from the old multiverse schemes were now participating as diplomats and athletes, carefully restrained by the universal laws you enforced. It's the Universe Sports Weeks. The first edition would last 1 month. Competitions included strategy battles, intelligence, diplomacy, tactics, physical contests, strength, speed, endurance, agility, teamwork trials, coordination, empathy, universal cooperation, cosmic events, asteroid surfing, energy channeling, gravity races. Every 8 years, the tournament would be renewed, keeping balance, growth, and friendly competition alive. Gods and angels react, Whis floated, clapping with delight. Finally, something that doesn't threaten the balance. Beerus rolled his eyes, smiling faintly. I may actually enjoy this. Zeno jumped up and down happily. Yay! Fun, planets win. Even the Grand Priest muttered, impressed. This king truly understands peace. Global humanity. Leaders prepared. Nations sent their top athletes, soldiers, and scholars. Trade and technology agreements formed to prepare for the rewards. Media called it the new era of multiversal diplomacy and prosperity. Class 1A and heroes. Your students cheered with pride. Our king created peace, shouted Bakugo. And a tournament for everyone. Uraraka smiled, tears in her eyes. Todoroki whispered, proud. He's not just a king, he's the protector of all. Izuku held the child in his arms, golden light glowing softly around them. You did it, he whispered. You really did it. You speak to the multiverse. You raised your hand, calm and commanding. Let these games show who can build, who can protect, and who can lead their people wisely. Let them not fight for dominance, but for growth. And may these Universe Sports Weeks be a testament to the strength of unity, love, and hope. The multiverse bowed. Planets aligned, empires cheered, gods smiled, finally relaxed. Even the old villains trembled at your benevolent power. Economic status of India. Highlight, under your reign for the past 2 years. GDP, equivalent to several combined interstellar economies. Resources, controlled rare cosmic elements, trade with alien civilizations. Military, elite planetary guardians, minimal aggression. Culture, flourishing arts, music, festivals, inter-universe tourism. Technology, fusion of quirk tech, magic, and cosmic energy, universal shipping and communications. Global reputation, absolute respect from 8,000 plus planetary systems, 8,900 plus empires, and multiple universes. India was not just a nation anymore. It was the cornerstone of multiversal civilization and prosperity. Final scene. From your palace balcony, you looked at the stars. Golden Narasimha aura faintly shimmering, dragon wings coiling gently. Izuku beside you, child glowing. You whispered, let peace reign and let the games begin. And across the multiverse, every civilization, every empire, every god, every human waited in awe. The Universe Sports Weeks, the greatest festival of peace, skill, and unity, had begun. To be continued. Chapter 36. The first Universe Sports Weeks, proud, ceremonial, echoing through countless worlds. 8,000 universes, 8,000 empires, millions of races, for the first time in all existence. They were not gathering to fight. They were gathering to celebrate. The opening of the greatest event in creation, at the edge of a newly created dimension, larger than galaxies, stable beyond time, stood the greatest arena ever built. Floating continents, crystal cities, gravity zones, oceans suspended in space, fields made from starlight. Above it all, a colossal banner burned across the sky. Welcome to the first Universe Sports Weeks. Compete with honor, win with wisdom, protect with power. Reactions across the multiverse, god realms Whis floated with amazement. This infrastructure alone surpasses divine engineering. Beerus crossed his arms. At least no planets are exploding this time. The Grand Priest whispered in awe. He has unified more beings peacefully than any god in history. Earth, every screen on Earth showed the opening ceremony. Cities stopped, schools paused, temples rang bells, stadiums filled with people watching live. India was glowing. India, the heart of the multiverse. Your empire had become the hosting capital, a floating golden city named Narayana, the capital of peace. Economically, India stood unmatched. Narrators reported proudly, India's inter-universal trade network now spans over 3,000 planetary systems. The empire's treasury now rivals divine vaults. Poverty has vanished. Energy is limitless. Education universal. India is now officially titled the Axis Empire of the Multiverse. Foreign empires bowed when their delegations arrived. The king opens the games. You appeared at the central platform, not in armor, not in divine form. In royal white and gold robes, crown glowing softly, dragon shadow faint behind you, Narasimha light sleeping peacefully inside you. Beside you, Izuku, holding your child, the symbol of the future. You raised one hand, the entire multiverse went silent. Welcome. War has tested us enough. Today, we test our hearts, our discipline, and our unity. Your voice echoed across realities. Compete not to dominate, but to grow, and remember. You lifted a small glowing crystal, a fragment of your power, balanced, protective, alive. The final champion will not rule. They will protect. And with a gentle motion, you struck the air. The games begin. Event 1, the Cosmic Marathon, a race across broken planets, asteroid belts, gravity storms, and time currents. Participants, a speed god from Universe 11, a crystalline warrior from Universe 403, a human team from Earth, a dragonkin runner from a fire galaxy. Reactions, Goku screamed excitedly, "This is awesome." Class 1A cheered wildly. Bakugo, "That guy just ran through a black hole." Winner, a silent girl from a small ocean planet. She crossed the line first, not with speed, but with perfect control. Her planet's economy instantly received terraforming contracts, clean energy cores, interstellar trade rights. Her people cried across the galaxy. We're saved. Event 2, the Grand Strategy Trial, a battlefield simulation where teams had to prevent planetary collapse, negotiate alien peace treaties, evacuate civilians, defeat disasters without violence. Gods watched closely. The Grand Priest nodded in approval. This is true leadership. Winner, a former villain general who once destroyed worlds, but now saved them all. You personally rewarded him. Redemption is the greatest victory. He knelt crying, "Thank you, my king." Event 3, the Unity Trial. Teams of different races forced together, no powers allowed, only cooperation. An insectoid, a machine, a human, a demon, a spirit. They struggled, argued, failed, then learned. Winner, Team Harmony. Their reward, a permanent alliance treaty, shared resources, protection contract with India's empire. Empires reacted. This tournament is changing diplomacy itself. Event 4, the Cosmic Skill Festival. Art, music, engineering, healing, cooking, invention. One alien healer cured a disease that had plagued 3 galaxies. Another child invented a star engine that produced infinite clean power. Villains watching whispered, "This king is building a better universe." Event 5, the Champions Trial Final Round. The top 12 finalists remained. Not the strongest, but the wisest, the bravest, the kindest. Final challenge. Protect this planet, a simulated dying world. Storms, monsters, civil war, meteor impact. The contestants had one day to save it. Gods leaned forward. Zeno floated silently. Izuku held your hand nervously. And then one fighter stood out. The final champion, a young warrior from a forgotten planet called Asha 9. No empire, no god, no fame. Instead of fighting, he calmed the storms, negotiated peace, redirected the meteor, healed the wounded, rebuilt cities. And when the day ended, the planet was alive. Silence filled the arena. The Grand Priest whispered, "He thinks like the king." The fragment ceremony. You descended slowly before him, the crystal fragment glowing in your palm. You did not conquer. You protected. Therefore, you placed the fragment into his hands. It melted into his chest, becoming a soft golden shield, not power to destroy, but power to defend. His planet instantly stabilized, a protective field forming across its skies. The entire multiverse stood and bowed. Final reactions. Gods. Beerus smiled faintly. He's creating guardians. Whis bowed. This era will last a very long time. Zeno clapped happily. Fun. Nice king. India. India celebrated for weeks, declared Foundation Day of Multiversal Peace. Your empire's economy surged even higher. Universal banking system created in India. Trade capital of 4,000 galaxies. Education centers attracting every race. India now officially recognized as the core empire of creation. Izuku and family. Izuku smiled softly. You changed everything. Your child giggled, a tiny golden aura flickering. Vishnu's voice whispered gently, "A king who builds peace is greater than any god." Final scene. As fireworks of starlight filled the sky, you looked across the multiverse, peaceful, united, alive, and whispered, "This is only the beginning."